Hey, I planned on letting the music go for longer, but for some reason my computer decided it fucking hates me because that happens sometimes. Anyway, hi. How's it going? Let's see if everything is working as intended. I can see me talking. Hopefully everybody's good. Okay, I don't care about the fucking bit rate. Oh my god, YouTube. It's crazy how I can like not change settings from one time to the next, and YouTube is like, I don't like what you've decided to do today. I'm like, well, it's the same thing. It's the same thing we do every night, Pinky. We try to take over the world. All right, whatever. Can you shut the fuck up? Okay, thank you. Good, 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 good. Now, see, now it says good connection. All right, I'm done trying to figure out what the fuck. Seems a little quiet to me. I mean, I don't like again. I boosted the gain not too long ago. Is that back down to its? No, it's still at 8 decibels makeup gain. So, yes, queen. Okay, cool. All right, things are working. After that one time that it really, really seriously fucked up recently, I'm like shell shocked. I'm like, so worried about everything being messed up. So anyway, hopefully everything's good. Yay. Hi, Gayfesh. How's it going? Drea, did you give a donation earlier? I thought I saw something pop up, but then it went away. Or was that from last time, maybe? Maybe it was from last time. That's okay. I just want to make sure nothing gets missed. Everything's fine. Everything's fine, okay? It's been an interesting week for me, personally. I have been... So first of all, I discovered that when your low back hurts, sometimes what is actually the problem is your hips. So I've started really seriously stretching my hips this week. And then this morning, I discovered that sometimes when you think your lower back hurts, actually the thing that hurts is your ass. And it's just kind of being referred to your lower back. So I got this thing out. I mean, I was just kind of like, ooh, my butt muscles, like what's going on back here? And I just like dug this thing in there and it was like, and I'm like, oh God. And now my back feels fine. It was crazy. Like I woke up constantly throughout the night last night. Every time I needed to roll over, my lower back hurt. Also discovered something fun. Okay, so you know how when you drink alcohol, it it makes you sleepy initially, but then a couple hours later, your body starts breaking the alcohol down into a compound that actually makes you feel more awake, which is why you might notice like you drink and then you go to bed, but then you wake up at like 3 in the morning and then you go back to sleep. So I discovered last night that if you only drink one serving of alcohol, like one shot of whiskey, for example, you get none of the I'm so sleepy effect, or maybe a little bit initially. I did go to bed a little earlier than I usually do last night, but you get basically none of the sleepy effect. And then you get all of the waking up constantly effect. So if that gives you any frame of reference for how I'm doing this morning, I didn't sleep great. But we're here, we're queer, we're ready to fuck shit up or whatever. So, oh boy. And I had like stuff that I needed to do this morning that didn't end up happening. Okay, that doesn't need to be open. I do not need CurseForge right now. Boy, howdy. And it's been a wild week as far as the news goes. I feel like I've been seeing all kinds of crazy shit, and we didn't even do politics stream last weekend. So there's also all the politics stuff from the previous week. I'm trying to figure out how I want to live my life, right? I do not like talking about trans politics. I do not like commodifying my transness and having that be like the only way I make money. Although interestingly, I've noticed I've recently been posting, like these weekly videos, and the subscriber count will like go up, but then it'll drop down a little bit. But I just posted a video talking about The Last of Us, and I've had a net gain of subscribers, which kind of makes me think like maybe the discussing media angle might be beneficial for the videos, at least. I mean, I'm assuming on the channel streams we'll keep talking about whatever politics comes up. I'm just trying to decide whether I want to continue doing like the segment that we've been doing. Do you like talking Star Trek? You know, I think it's just how old the Star Trek movies are. But I'm like, I still haven't watched Wrath of Khan. I have to watch it tonight so that we can do the podcast tomorrow. And I just feel like no urge to watch it, but I loved talking about it. Like, if you guys know probably by now that I've been on this podcast with Gay Fashion Demon Mama, and we've been talking about movies and TV shows. And right now we've started recording Star Trek The Original Series movies reactions. So we watched Star Trek, the motion picture 1979 digital remaster, director's cut 2001 last week, and that'll be coming out in a few weeks or whatever. And so this weekend we're going to watch Wrath of Khan. We're going to talk about it tomorrow, and I am excited to do that. That's definitely fun. And I need to watch like the new season of Andor because that just came out. The thing that I want to do tonight is watch the new episode of The Last of Us. I love it so much. It's so good. Yeah, so I like watching movies, it turns out. I even like watching bad movies. Oh, Les Watts said, I haven't had alcohol for over 3 years. I feel great. Congrats. Mira says 14 years for me. Meds don't mix with alcohol. True. Yeah. Yeah, for sure. I've realized that, like, I think the reason why alcohol makes me feel so bad is because it lowers your blood pressure, you know? So I drank a bit on Friday night, and then I kind of felt like shit yesterday. And then like toward the evening, I was like, I'm feeling okay. I'll try to drink like, I'll drink a little bit. And I got one shot down and I was like, I feel terrible. So I'm kind of reevaluating those kind of things of like, how much do I want to drink? Does it actually feel good? There is some component of like anxiety that is reduced. Like, it's weird how when I'm sober, I'm like, yeah, I want to drink. And then when I'm drunk, I'm like, this is a poor life choice. And I don't even have to be fucked up drunk, to be clear. I'm not like, oh my God, this terrible decision. Like, that's not, I mean, it's usually like I've had like 2, maybe 3 servings. And I'm just like, yeah, no, this really is like not adaptive. It's not really what I want to be doing. But I think that the only reason I can feel that way is because alcohol reduces anxiety in that immediate sense. So clearly I am dealing with anxiety. And so I've been working on that. I started watching Last of Us, and season 1, episode 3 was a beautiful work of art. I know. I cried so hard the first time I watched it. I was like, you know, at the old place, we were basically in this situation where like we had this enormous living room into the dining room space, and like my office was in the dining area, and then my husband's desk was kind of more in the living room, and so was my younger sibling's desk. So we were basically all sharing one large space, and I'm like bawling watching Long Time, season 1, episode 3 of The Last of Us, which is like a gay love story. If you haven't, I haven't watched it. Is it on Netflix? No, it's on Max. And I'm like, man, I was like bawling, and like my younger sibling came over to talk to me or ask me about something and was like, oh my God. And I'm like, I am fine. I'm just watching a amazing. And it's like a movie almost inside of a TV show. It's like a self-contained little storyline that has almost nothing to do with our main characters. God, it's so fucking good. Anyway, yes, alcohol is poison. The novelty of being drunk wears off as you get older, I guess. Well, I mean, like, but I don't know. Alcohol consumption, we've got this kind of like modern view of like addiction and health and all this kind of thing. But also, we've been making beer and eating and drinking fermented products for like, I want to say like almost all of modern human history. Like, I cannot speak to when there were still other sapien type species walking around, but like it kind of seems like for literally millennia we've been drinking and consuming alcohol, and like it's just like a fucking normal thing about being a human being. It's not even just a normal thing about being a human being, it's a normal thing about being a vertebrate. It seems like other animals do it too. You know, there's monkeys and bears that seek out and eat fermented fruit. Like they get drunk because they like it, because it feels good. Yeah. And yeah, of course, there's the like, if you add an amount of alcohol to water, it can kind of like make it a little bit cleaner. I don't actually know. Haven't researched into that. Like, is that actually what we did that for? Or like, did it actually make drinking water safer? Because we also have like, you know, springs and creeks and like flowing water. Like, you know, we have had access to clean water. It was mostly like once we started creating settlements that we had issues with dirty water. Like the, you know, when you start to get to a point where you're like more of a city rather than like a village, where human waste enters the groundwater, that's kind of where the problem comes in. But I think that in a like a pre-city environment, it was like not as much of an issue to have clean water. It's one of those things that like people latch onto, and I'm not entirely sure how accurate it is. Peeing on grapes and shitting in the streets. True. Speaking of fermentation, I also have a jar of kimchi that I need to actually get into. I bought kimchi and then I haven't taken the opportunity to eat any of it yet, but I'm assuming that I would enjoy it. Oh, also very excited to get back into brewing kombucha. I kind of fucked it up a lot. I didn't really follow any specific instructions before. So now I've now purchased for myself a 1 gallon ball jar. It's fucking genuinely like huge. And so I ordered some non-flavored kombucha starter on Amazon, and I'm going to do that. Like we need to get some good gut health, especially if you're going to drink alcohol on a regular basis. You have to like put back into that system, because like I don't know if y'all know this, maybe any of you the morning after drinking had just like crazy diarrhea, and you're like, I didn't eat anything weird last night, what happened? It's because alcohol kills the good stuff in your gut biome. So I'm trying to, okay, I'm like, all right, I need to go start eating yogurt again on a regular basis. I'll try kimchi. I like kombucha. Just these are like probiotics for your body. Good stuff. I am becoming one of those annoying health people. Did you know that drinking kombucha is associated with a lower risk of cancer? I am not sure whether that's like... oh no, my brain has flushed everything that I was just thinking. Oh, kombucha. I don't know if it's because kombucha actually has a positive health effect, or if it's like people who drink kombucha also do a bunch of other insane shit to maintain their health. And like maybe people who drink kombucha also eat less red meat or something. So like they're less likely to get cancer or something. I don't know, but it's interesting to think about. I solved a lot of the problems with drinking by quitting drinking. True, yeah. I am prone to addictive behaviors. I don't really have the like physical problem that a lot of people seem to have, where they're like, I physically can't stop drinking. The only thing I've ever had that problem with is nicotine, where it's like I physically feel like this is a thing that I need to function. And it took a long time after quitting nicotine, even just vaping. It took a long time after quitting it to not feel the urge to do it on a semi-regular basis. But I am prone to addictive behaviors, whether that's with food, whether that's with alcohol. Like I struggle with it. I think in terms of like, yeah, it is a coping mechanism that is highly effective. It carries a lot of risk as a coping mechanism, but it's also really, really hard when you have behavioral addiction to stop doing your addiction if there is someone else around you who does it. So, like, my partner will, without asking me, will just get himself whiskey and bring it home. And there's like always an expectation that I'm allowed to have some. So I find it very difficult not to drink because it's just in the house like every week. Like, I don't know that we've gone longer than like a week or two in years without there being alcohol in the house and without one or both of us drinking, which is quite difficult for me. Although, you know, okay, so I have like half a shot in here that I did not drink last night because I was like, I feel like shit. Genuinely, my face was so hot. I just felt like garbage. I replaced alcohol with THC. True, that is a little bit easier to do in a place like Oregon and Washington where the weed is just kind of everywhere. Like, literally all over the place. You drive around fucking anywhere here. Even in the, like, really small towns, you're like, there's only 2,000 people in this town. How are there 4 fucking weed stores? It's quite interesting. So, yeah. Is there any clinical evidence that probiotics actually impact the gut biome? You know, that's interesting. I've never looked into it. It's also way cheaper than booze. Yeah, I get that impression. Especially with like how long, like, okay, if we buy like a $40 bottle of Jack Daniels, that's maybe like 2 or 3 nights of drinking. I'm not as familiar with all the different kinds of ways that you can consume cannabis, but it does seem like if you spent $40 on cannabis products, it would probably last you more than 2 days. Yeah. Yeah, okay, that's a great question. Is there any clinical evidence? Okay, so I have to be clear too that this is a lot harder to know now because my government has destroyed a lot of information about like clinical trials and studies and shit. So any clinical evidence for probiotics? Most studies, according to the National Institutes of Health, most studies have found that probiotics have a positive, although modest, beneficial effect. 2015 evaluation of 12 studies with a total of almost 4,000 participants indicated that people who take probiotics may have fewer and shorter upper respiratory infections. There is evidence, this says there is high quality evidence from 2017 that probiotics are effective for acute infectious diarrhea and antibiotic associated diarrhea, as well as some other things. I'm just looking at the front page of Google, like I'm not even clicking anything. Clinical evidence has demonstrated that Bifidobacterium lactis HN019 promotes gut health, digestion, and immunological function. Studies show that consumption of probiotics can improve inflammatory markers such as C-reactive protein and glycemic control and insulin metabolism. In model systems, probiotics have been shown to modulate the immune system, provide resistance to invasion by pathogens, and improve intestinal function. So it seems like they're like basically like, yeah, a positive, although modest, beneficial effect. It's not gonna like cure your cancer, but it might help reduce inflammation, increase digestive function, potentially boost immunology. A bag of 10 edibles, each at 10 milligrams, $10, and that lasts weeks. Yeah, nice. Ooh, solid. Terry in the YouTube chat says, I live in Spokane, Washington, and I literally found a joint in a tube lying on the ground in a local community garden. Weed is actually litter around here. That's crazy. It is still kind of an adjustment getting used to living in a place where weed is legal. I still think that it would be a good idea to be a little guarded around your consumption of those products because it's still illegal on the federal level. And I think I haven't really seen any exploitation of this in particular, but this seems like one of the avenues by which the federal government could um, justify overreach and like going after people in blue states, right? Because like they could just claim like, well, we're cracking down with DEA. Although fucking how are you going to do that if you're gutting everything in the federal government? But anyway, um yeah. Had to open my windows to clear out the smoke from the cast iron pans. Happy Sunday, everybody. I really need to season my cast iron pans. Like, none of my cast iron has ever been seasoned, I don't think. And once it's seasoned, you can just use soap on them and it's fine. And they're like a non-stick surface. But I have been like, I don't want to heat up the inside of my house during the day because it's hard to keep it cool in here. So, yeah, we're going to have to buy like a bunch of window units for air conditioning because none of the houses here are built with central air. Nightmare. Anyway, dude, there's 53 people in here, but there's only 29 likes. Come on. What are we doing here? Pump up those numbers. Let's go. Do not ever use soap on cast iron. Shut up. There's like 100 million different personal opinions on cast iron. You can use soap on cast iron, especially if you've seasoned it, because seasoning means you create a plasticine layer of oil on it that doesn't come off with soap. Like, and to properly season a pan, it's like a multiple hours process of like plasticizing the oil on it. So once it has been done, you can use soap on it. William Cook has said old soap has lye and lye will wreck the seasoning, but modern soap doesn't. Okay, I can see why that became a thing where people are like, oh my God, don't use soap on it. Like, yeah, if soap has lye in it, then yeah, totally. Byron says if soap is stripping it, then it wasn't properly seasoned. Yeah, it's like multiple hours, multiple layers of oil that go onto it that create like that really shiny quality. That doesn't go away with soap because you have chemically changed what's going on. But I haven't done it myself because it takes for fucking ever. But once it's done, it's done. And it's one of those things. It's like, oh man, once I just get that off my list, yeah. People have some spicy fucking opinions about cast iron. Like, there are so many different, like, you can never use soap. You don't use water. Like, only ever use salt and lemon to clean it or whatever. Like, there are so many different opinions about it. What dishware am I not supposed to use if I get birds? Great question. Get a jug of vegetable oil and pick a day where nobody needs to use the oven. I mean, I certainly have time, especially because I am not like working a shit ton right now. I've got the time. It's completely a matter of like, I don't want to heat up my house in the middle of the day. So I try not to use the oven or the stove until like evening time. I've stripped a pan of old seasoning and rust and then reseasoned it. Confirm it takes forever. Yes. Do you have an outdoor grill? Outdoor grills are really quite heavily restricted in Oregon and Washington because of the fact that there are fires here. So I have personally never purchased a grill anyway. And then also, like, it's just, there's a lot of like regulations, like you can't put it on a deck or a porch, like yeah, so no, I don't have an outdoor grill. I would love to at some point, and I would also love to have a smoker. That would be pretty fucking great. Posted pics of the cast iron seasoning process in the Homestead channel on the Discord. Hell yes, Viren. Cool stuff. But like, I struggle so much with getting things done that um it's like I would just do it once and then it would be over, right? And it's so satisfying though when you do finally finish one of those things. Because like, wait, where is it? I was gonna show you this a couple weeks ago, but it was not possible because my stream broke. Um, this is my staff. It's my walking staff. I've shown this to you before. I have like some dangly things hanging on it right now. And I bought myself a ferrule because I want to go hiking. And hiking sticks, when you get like a hiking stick, they have a stabby point at the end. So I decided to go ahead and get myself a ferrule. And I bought it a few weeks ago, and then I finally put it on this week, and I'm so happy I did. I'll show you the ferrule. So, it has like this metal part, which doesn't fit quite perfectly. Whatever, doesn't really matter that much. And then this rubber foot. So I actually added some height to my staff, but then you untwist the rubber foot, and there's a spike. There's a little stabby spike. And this should all be pretty secure on here. I drilled into the staff itself, so then I can use this to walk, and that's fun. I'm trying to become a person who goes on hikes and stuff. Just like working on my health and everything. Yeah, I was gonna read a book about procrastination, but I keep putting it off. This is it's like a shaman stick. But the point of having all the dangly things on it is like so that if I'm walking, I just am making a lot of noise, and that is a great way to keep bears and mountain lions away from you. So that's kind of like a getting something done that you've been thinking about for a long time. Like, okay, I've been thinking about it for a long time. I finally bought the ferrule. I had the ferrule, and then I went ahead and like actually made the changes. And like now it's done, which is cool. Done. Wow. It's off my brain. Great. And then additionally, oh no. God, the ADHD is so strong this morning. This is what happens when I don't fucking sleep. What was I gonna say? Like, it's done. So it's off my brain now. And I don't have to think about it anymore. And there's like the sense of accomplishment too. And now it's done. And now anytime I go hiking, I can just have my staff. Done with pan talk. All right, William. Mira says, I bought a self-help book on procrastination in the 2000s. I read the intro, thought, yeah, that makes sense, and then never finished it. True story. Finishing books, the bane of an ADHD person. By the way, I do plan on talking about politics, so if you clicked in thinking, oh my God, Supreme Court nukes trans rights, I will get there. I just need a little time to like talk about stupid shit and warm up. So if you don't want to hang out, then hit the like button before you leave. That would be cool. Yeah, it's just good to get things off your plate. I've been focusing a lot this week on personal well-being, and I think, I don't know, I wonder if saying self-care has kind of ruined the concept of like investing in your well-being. And like, is there a different way that we could say this that would kind of help it seem a little bit less frivolous? Because self-care, I believe, has been kind of watered down in its popularity. And now self-care means like, oh, I bought myself a little treat. Or like, I watched my favorite TV show. But I'm kind of working on a more comprehensive kind of self-care, especially like, first of all, I think that it's a good idea to take self-care away from the context of consumerism. So it can't just be buying things. Self-care can't just be buying shit. That's not really like caring for yourself. It's like a tiny little bit of dopamine or whatever positive chemicals you get when you buy yourself something that you want, right? That's not the same as like holistic well-being. And neither is watching your favorite TV show. Because watching your favorite TV show is escape. It is distraction. It is, frankly, kind of the opposite of what you should be doing if you're feeling very, very bad. You have to feel your feelings and be present in your body and stuff. So I just reopened the self-care app that I had started using recently called Finch, and I have like a ton of different stuff in there, and I've set it up to have like a lot of options instead of like, okay, I have to do these 6 things every day. It's more like, here's 50 things you can choose from, right? So I'm doing all kinds of stuff like drinking tea. What do we got today? Today is a wonderful, very premium lavender chai with, I have some lavender infused honey in it and a little bit of heavy cream because I didn't want to drink the milk this morning. Tea is a form of self-care. It's a ritual. It's devotion to yourself. I've also been going outside in the morning for 10 minutes and just standing outside and absorbing a little bit of sunlight. I've put like brush my teeth and wash my face on the self-care thing. Gratitude stuff, like thanking yourself for getting through the day at the end of the day. Or in the morning before you get out of bed, taking a minute to like really just appreciate how cozy and warm your bed is before you have to get up. I've been making my bed in the morning and just kind of, trying to get off of Facebook and get out of this doom scrolling. I'm realizing that I kind of don't understand how people live their lives when they're like, I don't do social media. When people say I don't do social media, I'm like, I in an abstract sense, I can envision that person might have kids, or that person like might like work a lot of hours at their job or something. But like I, on a profound level, kind of don't understand how people live their lives, without being on the social media, which I think is a problem with me. What's the line between ritual and escape? So when I say like escape or distraction, I mean like you are existing outside of your body in a way where you're like, okay. And by the way, I've been through like very intensive therapy. So when I'm talking about this shit, I'm not just repeating TikTok platitudes. I am talking from an evidence-based perspective of like what is shown to work through evidence-based practice. So distract, like watching your favorite TV show. You're not existing in your own life when you're watching that TV show. Especially if it's immersive, your brain parts that are actually engaging with like real life are gone, and they're kind of just watching the show, and your brain is simulating a fictional thing. And that's different from like being in your body, where like when I'm describing like the ritual of making tea, that's like a physical, I am here in the room doing something. It only really works though if you don't pull the phone out. If you're like, okay, I'm going to let this tea steep for 3 minutes. Being on your phone in that 3 minutes kind of takes away from the power of the ritual. So I'm like, okay, I make my tea, and then I take my tea outside and I set a 10-minute timer on my phone, and I don't look at my phone for 10 minutes. And I just look at the birds, I look at the sky, I listen to the sounds of my neighborhood. That is presence. And that's what I think so many people struggle with right now. Mira says, I grew up before the internet and isolated from others thanks to my mom. So without social media, I'd probably play more games, build projects, and mountain bike, or just be depressed. Yeah, probably that. Yeah. But that's the thing. I think that the social media is depressing us. I mean, not on its own. Like, I don't think that just being on Instagram is bad. One of my self-care tasks is to avoid doom scrolling. Especially, I think it actually says avoid doom scrolling in bed. So that's me trying to spend less time in the morning on my phone before I even get out of bed. But I have an Instagram account where I just followed a bunch of... did I scroll up? Okay, no. You just have not said anything in the stream chat for a bit. Okay. So trying not to doom scroll in bed, but I have an Instagram account where I follow like a bunch of conservation pages and a couple farmers and some people who do watercolor and art and stuff. Like, if I am scrolling on Instagram, that is not doom scrolling. It is still not presence in my life, but it is at least not doom scrolling. So I'm not trying to say like all social media is bad, but even on that, like I follow a couple local news stations, and so sometimes I get fucking news about Trump. And then if I open up Blue Sky, that's literally all it is. So I do not spend very much time on Blue Sky recently because it's impossible to avoid there. And it's like you have to have a balance of some stimulation without it being like negative all the time, which can be tough. Juniper testified at the Texas State Senate and House too against anti-trans legislation. Awesome. You are not the only person in Texas that I know named Juniper. That's fun. Also been volunteering at schools in my community with time that I would have otherwise spent scrolling or playing video games. Hell yes. We love to see it. By the way, the Supreme Court news that I wanted to talk about is like what's happening in the UK, you know? And I'm trying to decide today whether when we talk about that, if it's going to be like, okay, guys, let's record a segment for the channel, or if I just need to like once a week or once every 2 weeks, just like post. I don't know, like I was thinking like, oh yeah, let's watch trans movies. That seems fun. I recently saw a movie pop up called A Man Called Otto. He's like, it's about like an old man whose wife died and he hates everything. And then a young trans man and his family move in on the street and he becomes like a mentor to that trans man. And I'm like, okay, well, what if I just watch movies and then talk about them? So we'll see. I do want to talk about stuff. I'm trying to figure out what capacity, you know. Clearly we were doing okay just streaming for like 3 months and not posting any. Yeah, it was like 4 months or something between a video that I posted in like early December, and then I didn't post another video on the channel until like March, which was crazy. It was forever. It's a long time to not upload. I did see that you had posted some things in the stream recommendations channel. Let's see, which one was it? Okay, so we do have some news about the United States Supreme Court temporarily blocking new deportations under the recently invoked Alien Enemies Act. There's, oh yeah, something about Chloe Cole, which is awful. And then a court ruling. This is about the court ruling in the UK is at odds with UK Equality Act aim. Yeah, so everything's been kind of fucking insane over there. Huge negative news out of the UK where they're basically like, you know, trans women are men. Hold on, there was something that I maybe retweeted about this. Oh my god, yeah, Pedro Pascal. There's news from Pedro Pascal saying that J.K. Rowling is a heinous loser. I want to read that article. I guess maybe I didn't save this post. Oh man. There was something I was reading that was like, so because of this court ruling, they're gonna say trans women are men. But I think it also said in some of the guidance that like there may be situations in which trans women are not allowed in the men's bathroom as well. So it's basically like an interpretation of this court case could essentially be trans people are not allowed to use any public facilities, or that restricting them from using any public facilities, including the ones that they're supposed to use, quote unquote, based on their biological sex. That's crazy. That's wild news. I've also seen a lot more posts about intersex people recently, especially posts from intersex people in the UK going, where am I supposed to go to the bathroom? Like, a lot of the times too, they're couched in this way that's like, you forced me to go on certain hormones to normalize me, quote unquote. But now you're like criminalizing that for other people and also creating legal categories that don't make any sense. Like, if someone is like, I have XY chromosomes and I was born with internal testes, and those testes were forcibly removed from me before I could consent when I was a child, and now I'm on cross-sex hormones and like am female in a lot of ways, but I still have XY chromosomes and I was born with testes, then like, where the fuck am I supposed to go to the bathroom? Hello, kitty. Hope you're having a good day. The authoritarian decision always boils down to trans people are not allowed, period. Totally. Yeah. It's an attempt to prevent. I mean, I don't think that they're really intended to be exactly this, but functionally it's like ugly laws. Like you have a disorder and we don't want to see you in public is kind of what it comes back to. To be clear, I'm not really intending to just do movie reviews generally. I want to do, I mean, stuff that I can at least refer to other issues, like The Last of Us. You know, the premise of the video that I made, and we already talked about this last week, but the premise is like, there's a apocalypse situation, and then there's like a homophobia in the apocalypse. How do we deal with homophobia in the apocalypse? Which ties into how do we deal with homophobia now? And I like the idea of responding to trans movies. We did respond to Will Ferrell's documentary with his friend Harper, which is like about her coming out and like, how do we, hi Drea, hope you're having a good time. And like, that video did very well. Frankly, like, I mean, you know, titling a video Will Ferrell's trans road trip to Texas is, you know, that was just like a good title. Maybe people thought like, oh my God, did Will Ferrell come out as trans? Yo boy is not at all upset about using a little bit of clickbait. Trans orgs have been told to advocate for third spaces. I can see why that might make sense. But in my country, we already fucking decided that separate is not equal. You can't have spaces where it's like colored people only. And so having spaces that are trans people only are also a form of marginalization, which isn't cool. Okay, so with the movie that Turtlebird Me wants to recommend is called With Honors with Brendan Fraser and Joe Pesci. With Honors? Oh my God, a 1994 movie? In Brendan Fraser's heyday. All right, I'll look at that later. Thank you for the recommendation. All seems to come down to whether people believe their sense of disgust should override other people's autonomy. Yeah, I mean, this is kind of what I've been saying for a long time, that you can't reasonably say, oh, trans people can't be in public because I don't like them. You know, people, basically, they say, oh, it's a matter of safety, as a way of obfuscating the fact that what they are genuinely dealing with, is like disgust. I don't want to be around that kind of person. Even if like a trans woman is just, she pops in to wash her hands and then leave, their discomfort with that is being communicated as though it is a threat to their safety, and it isn't. But this is an issue that I've had for a long time outside of transphobes. We do this within the queer community, where we claim you're harming people as a way of controlling what other people do. Like, that's what it is. And I've been pointing it out on all kinds of different situations. If you go back all the way to when I covered the term bisexual lesbian, the thing that people oppose is like, you're harming lesbians by suggesting that they might be available to men, or you're harming lesbians by whatever. Like, there is no real harm. You can just claim, oh, this is hurting me. And then if the other person doesn't stop, then you can say that they're a bad person, basically. Like, it's a manipulation tactic to exert control over what other people are doing. Whatever the situation is, it doesn't matter what the situation is, that is what you're doing. Yeah, what about our disgust at their bigotry? True. How many anti-trans essays start with something like, if I had known this was an option then... I mean, like... I know that people have speculated that J.K. Rowling might have been trans if she had had the opportunity to express herself growing up. But this is not... I don't think this is how a self-hating trans person responds to destroying trans rights. Like, she literally posted this picture of herself on her fucking yacht, smoking a cigar, drinking a cocktail, with her wrinkled-ass hag body, going like, like, oh, what did she say? She said, like, I love it when a plan comes together. Yeah. I don't know that we could... I don't think it's fair to trans people as a broad category to say that this is the behavior we can expect from self-hating trans people. Nothing stops cis men from claiming to be trans men going into the women's room unchallenged. I may have actually... I really thought that I retweeted something to that effect. Oh, yeah. Here. Let's see. Where the fuck are my headphones? They're in the other room. Oh, wait, whatever. Too bad. We're just going to do it this way.
Because how are you going to...
Shush. Okay, we're going to watch this together, right?
What concerns me about the toilet debate is if trans men then have to use women's toilets, that's going to make women less safe, because how are you going to stop a man, a normal man, going into a woman's toilets and saying, I'm a trans man? And so I think we have to look at
I don't follow that logic.
Why?
Because the point is that we're saying that people who are biologically men shouldn't be using women's toilets. That's the point of this ruling, among other things.
But a trans man is biologically a woman.
Someone who's transitioned from being a woman to a man is...
And so they would then have to use women's toilets.
I think this...
And that's the problem.
You never ever considered trans men, or like what she just said, which is true, that if people who look like men are legally expected to go into women's rooms, yeah, because they always say, like, what's going to stop some man from saying he's a woman and just putting on a wig and going into the women's restroom? Like, well, okay, on the flip side of that, what is going to stop a man from just saying he has a pussy from going into the women's bathroom? Yeah, like the length of time it took him to respond.
That is the problem, and that's what concerns me.
I'll be honest, this is something that we can talk about an awful lot more and debate an awful lot more, and yeah. I thank both.
Dude, his face, he was just like 1,000-yard stare, like, ooh, I never considered that by forcing men to use the women's room that I might be opening up the door to abuse. I hate the framing of trans men being a threat in the bathroom. Yeah, no, I always try to be kind of careful with this. It's like, it's not that trans men are a threat in the bathroom. It's that, like, this, if they're going to use the argument that, like, oh, any man could just throw on a wig and go into the women's room and say that they're a woman, and that's what we're trying to stop. Like, okay, using the same logic, if you are legally saying, okay, you were born female, therefore you must use the female restroom, you know, on the same token, what is going to stop a man who looks like a whole ass man who's not even bothering to throw on a wig, just a cis man going into the restroom and saying, well, I'm born female and therefore I'm supposed to be in here? Like, the lying of cis men is the problem still. And like, in fact, what you are doing is specifically opening the door to that kind of abuse. But the problem is that when we advocate on that note, that's how you end up in situations where they're like, well, no trans people can use the bathroom. And that will prevent a man who looks like a whole ass man from saying he has a pussy and using the female restroom, because we've just decided that trans people, period, are not allowed to use public restrooms. Yeah, Rowling, take your yacht through the Bermuda Triangle. That would be great. I know we joke about trans man erasure, but with all this, we are truly beyond parody. Truly beyond parody. Yeah. Drea says, I said a long time ago that forcing trans men into women's bathrooms is far, quote, riskier than simply letting us use the proper bathroom that we want to. Yeah. So it's just one of those like dumb shit moments. I want to know what Pedro Pascal said. I love him. I want to see this in a video. Is this in a video? I want to see the video. Oh, totally. Yeah. And like, I don't want to hammer in too hard on it that like cis women are going to be harmed by this more than anyone else, because the point is to hurt. I mean, the point is to hurt trans people, but really, I mean, kind of the point is to hurt women in general as a group and make it less safe for women to be in public. Because yeah, masculine women, women in menopause, older women, like dykes, like butch people, like they're not going to be able to use the public restrooms either. And we've already seen it here in the United States. A cisgender woman, because she was 6'4", was followed into the restroom by a man. And then a butch lesbian cis woman went into the bathroom to put a tampon inside her body and had male police officers follow her in there. Like, what the fuck are we doing here? Yeah, this is going to hurt cis women as a group more than it will hurt trans people, but that is not why it is wrong. And that's something that we have to make sure we reiterate. Like, yes, this is going to harm cis women and other people. But that's, you know, it's kind of like when everybody was arguing about Iman Khalif, and it was like, yeah, well, she's not even trans, so you're just fucking being stupid about nothing. Like, no, you can't focus in on that like that. Because the way that people were talking about her would be wrong even if she was trans. Oh, yeah. Thank you, Alan, for the $5 super chat. Says, gotta bail. Appreciate all you do for us, Lux. You're awesome on Takis too. Thank you so much. I will be on Takis this week, if you're curious. I believe it's going to be me and Arden on Thursday this week, and then I do not know what the schedule is for the rest of May, but I do at least know this week I will be there. So thank you for your $5 super chat. I very much appreciate it. For the time being, this is still my job, so I do love getting donations. They put food on my table, genuinely. I pay some of the bills, and I pay for all of the food that we eat. I don't think they care whether women are safe or not. No, of course, yeah, because it was never about that. Arden plus Lux equals Dream Team Takis. Ooh, that's very kind. Thank you. I do like Arden quite a bit. I like all of the hosts. It's not like I like her more than any of the other ones. We all have different vibes. It's quite nice. I don't know. It's like, okay, this says, please use a keyframe frequency of 4 seconds or less. Well, I didn't fucking change anything, so I don't know why it's yelling at me about poor stream quality. Stream quality seems fine. Are you guys fine? I don't know why it's bitching at me so much today. Rulings like this are what happens when we indulge the delusion that trans women are as much a threat to cis women as cis men are. Truly, yeah. Turtlebird me says Lux plus Ben equals my favorite Takis. Something about Ben and I going on together makes the super chats come out. I don't know what the deal was. I think we got like $600 in super chats last week, or the week before, whichever most recent time I was on. We got like a lot of donations. Arden brings the spice. So does Ben. When me and Josie are on, I feel like I'm the spicier one, which I guess is like Ben and Arden are both a little spicier, and I tend to just get spicy less quick than they do, so they end up being the spicy ones. But then Josie is like always such a sweetheart, and she's never spicy, and then I get spicy. So yeah, there's always at least one. Gotta be at least one. I'm trying to find this video. Okay, there is a video. I want to see it. Is Pedro Pascal in here? Oh, I see. Okay, okay. So what happened was this person, Tarek Rauf, posted like, you know, about the Supreme Court decision and J.K. Rowling, and Pedro Pascal in the comments said, awful, disgusting shit is exactly right. Heinous loser behavior. So that's just him popping off on Instagram. That's, yeah. So I wish that there was like a video of Pedro saying that, but I do like him just saying like heinous loser behavior, like loser. Love it. Yes, Josie, yeah. Josie gets spicy, it's rare. Oh my God, true. Viren says, our country's administration was literally going on about protecting cis women from the transes, but then tried to cancel our first long-term study of women's health. Yep. And what weren't they talking recently about like, oh, we want to create like a stipend where if you have more than a certain amount of kids, you might get an amount of money, or you might get like a medal. That's some fascist shit right there. That's literally something they did in Nazi Germany. But yeah, they were like, we want to give out a medal or a stipend or something to encourage people to have kids. It's like, okay, if you want to encourage people to have kids, great. There's like a number of ways to do that. And the thing that you're suggesting is not at all it. You're like, you could put money into childcare or mandatory universal basic income, or like, I don't know, fucking like a big tax break for someone in their first year of parenthood or something. But that's not what they're doing. It's quite strange. It's not strange. It's strange given their professed goal. Like, if your goal is to make sure there's plenty of workers, why would you do things that depress the rate of reproduction? Like, they're doing things that make people die more and that don't incentivize people to have more children. Kitty says, if it were about protecting children, we wouldn't have kids dying from measles and looking at more deaths from long-term side effects 10 to 20 years from now. Tell me you care about children while children in America go hungry when there is more than enough food to feed them, with a little program designed to repay companies that donate to food programs. Totally. Yeah, free childcare, free diapers, free school lunches, childcare. Yeah, I already said childcare. Drea says, Ben's spice feels like an ice storm, and Arden's spice feels more like a volcano. That's fun. What does my spice feel like? It doesn't happen super often, but I yell at people sometimes on Takis. I get fucking red as a tomato yelling at people on Takis sometimes. Any positive news? I don't know. So I would consider Pedro Pascal wearing a shirt that says protect the dolls and calling J.K. Rowling a heinous loser. That's good news in my book. I don't know that we had very much good news this week. I'm going to check and see. Yeah, a great way to boost the birth rate is to actually take care of the kids. Crazy. Hello, Mosh. Welcome in. My spice is all spice. I like those Old Spice commercials. Like, look at your man, look at me. Now look at your man, now look at me. Lux Spice feels like a tornado. Rare but dangerous for the person stupid enough to walk into it. I'll take it. Oh, Mosh, we're just kind of talking about whatever. I don't really have like a let's record a segment today plan. I don't think I'm actually planning to record a segment today. I don't know what I'm doing with my life or my channel. I'm starting to like think about other career options and am facing Old Spice, not All Spice. My bad. I am facing some obstacles with my attempts to consider a new career that I wasn't expecting to be facing, and it's a little bit difficult to talk about publicly. But yeah, I was hoping to maybe start considering some other options, and there's just more obstacles in the way than I was expecting, and that sucks. But, you know, in the meantime, I have this job, and I'll probably try to get a part-time job, and we'll see how things go. Luck should do it. Look at your streamer, now look at me. Ad. Yeah, totally. Congrats, Sophie. Democratic Socialists of America. Hell yes. Oh, that's a good point. Pirate Hyena, great name, says, it makes people more desperate when people die. Desperate people are somewhat easier to exploit and manipulate. It's just, I get it. I get it on some level, and then on another level, I'm like, but how are you going to support your fucking economy if there's no workers? I don't understand. Bring back delivery cloth diapers. They are better for the baby and for the environment. This baby has never had a rash, even though they have light ginger hair and are see-through. Fun. I'd love to start a diaper delivery company. They are honestly super profitable if you have the system set up and you can find the people to sort and wash them. Second part is the hard part because Americans are lame. Fair. But I like that. Yeah, like cloth diapers, reusable things, rather than like stuff that goes into a landfill and like never, ever, ever breaks down. What part-time jobs are you considering? I mean, it's... to start with, it's whatever has the lowest barrier to entry. I do not want to work at a fucking cash till ever again. I don't want to work food service ever. So I don't know. I'm kind of thinking about maybe like just trying to get a job like stocking grocery shelves or something that's like only a couple days of the week. I don't know. I am quite limited in my options for that because my husband uses my car every day to go to work. So it would need to be somewhere where I could walk to it, or I'm going to have to get over myself and finally learn how to use the public transit. But yeah, I need to make more money than I'm making, and I can't keep pouring more of my energy into politics shit. It's not working. Yeah, we talked about that a couple weeks ago. Mira points out that Trump tried to, he's not allowed to, but he did try to cut off the funding for the school feeding them program for poor kids in the state of Maine as a punishment for them allowing trans athletes. I think they were stopped by that. But he's definitely still tried. Walk Tua, exactly. Could totally see Lux in a forestry service type job. Okay. This is kind of where my interest lies. I feel very passionate. I do have like some physical limitations. The last time I tried to work a full-time job, I really couldn't do it, but I think that was because I did not know how to care for my body. Like, I understand my condition now and I can care for my body. But like forestry service, yeah, like am I going to be hiking in 90-degree weather? Because that might I might run into like I might run into a wall with that. And obviously, if I were to like invest in an educational program, and then so basically like what I did with electrical technology was I got the job because I went to school. I got my little certificate. And then I started working and I found out that I couldn't physically do it. And that was after I had already spent the time and money, not really that much money because an older family member basically gave me a $5,000 check so that I could go to school. And that covered all of my classes and it covered all my books and my tools and everything. And it was awesome. It was really kind of that person. And it just turned out like I can't be an electrician full time. Maybe now, I don't know, but I'm trying to get really physically fit. I had to spend a couple months recovering from my move, which was hugely stressful, and trying to exercise soon after I moved, like would lay me out for several days where I'm like, okay, my symptoms are fucked up for like days now. So now I'm kind of, okay, I can work out now. I can do cardio now. And I want to build up to a place where I have the stamina. Basically, my goal for this summer is to get hella jacked and get really, really fit and like find out whether I could do some kind of like physical job. Did we cover the child influencer law yet? No, I don't actually think I've seen anything about that. Feel free to drop me a link though, Moshe, if there's like an article that I should read. Hi, Baphomet, welcome. What about a zoo or aquarium? Yeah, I mean, there's so many different jobs in environmentalism too. You know, you can be like a person who keeps track of the salmon populations. You can plant trees. You can like clear trails, and there's people whose job it is to hike trails and record the presence of invasive plants. Like that is like there's so many different jobs, and then there are also like lab jobs and there are administrative jobs and all kinds of shit. So there's tons and tons and tons of options. It's just a matter of like figuring out what I would like to focus on and then like what is going to be physically capable for me. Yeah, and it's kind of my goal this summer to really push myself and find out like how disabled am I really? Because with POTS, your symptoms are better the more fit you are. So like hypothetically, the more I do cardio, the easier it will be to manage my symptoms. So like if I do become a person who is capable of going for a 4-hour hike just on my own, then maybe I could handle having a job in forestry or something. Yeah. I'm going to have to spend some more time thinking about it. And yeah, it's interesting. I have a lot of like really big emotions around it. And yeah, it's interesting. Wait, what happened to our rights? Hi, Xena. We, the title of this stream is referring to what happened at the UK Supreme Court. Where they basically just said trans women are men biologically and they need to be treated as men in the law, which is fucking weird. It kind of is the opposite of what the Equality Act says should happen. So yeah, and there was something I saw, some guidance that said basically that while trans women are supposed to use men's restrooms, there may be situations where it's appropriate to bar them from even using men's restrooms. So basically, like, the downstream effect of this is essentially making it impossible for trans people to exist outside of their homes. Would it in any way be stepping on your toes if I, inspired by you, try to get into the realm of covering trans news on stream? No, Jihariel, that's wonderful. I think that we need more voices because we need people to be able to step in when someone else needs to step out, you know? Like, for example, Demon Mama does not stream anymore. And she was like a very prominent trans voice in the like leftist sphere. And she would talk about issues. I mean, a lot of the time she was trying to do stuff that was more fun, which is admirable. But, you know, we had like a prominent trans voice, and she is completely not streaming now. I don't know if she ever plans to start again. And then like I am also feeling like I need to step back. I've been doing this for half my lifetime, like not streaming, but I've been watching trans stuff. Like Leela Alcorn died when I was a teenager, and I was steeped in gay rights, trans rights already at that time. So like I've been involved and witness to a lot of like pain and suffering of people in my group, people like me, people who I care about, for like half my life. I was, I think, 15, 16 maybe when Leela Alcorn died. And things have only gotten worse since then, and I need to step out. Like I need to step away. I need to do something else. And so I think it's important for people to step in so that we have more voices and we can give each other breaks. And like, you know, we still have people like, you know, Zinnia Jones and Riverboat Jack, and like these big trans creators, Aaron in the Morning, and even people like Mercury Stardust, where her main thing is like being the trans handyman, but she also talks about trans rights and raises money for trans people. And we just need more people so that we can support one another. And like if I pull back, someone else can step in. When that person is tired, maybe I can step it back in, kind of thing. But it's clear that it's like corrosive to your spirit. I am not someone who believes in souls, but like it's corrosive to like your core being to continue talking about this shit all the time and continue bearing witness to it all the time. Thank you, Mosh. I will look into that momentarily. Drea says, I know that the Bonneville Dam has people there who watch fish going through the fish ladder, or at least they did last time I was there. Yeah, totally. There are like a number of different things that you can do in environmental science. Like I said, I experienced an obstacle with that this past week that has damaged my passion somewhat and has damaged my self-confidence a little bit. Yeah, I don't really watch Riverboat Jack's stream very often, but I do like her a lot. She's a cool person. I'm a little younger than you, so basically since I've been politically aware, it has been clear everything is on fire. True. You have to take time to recover your emotional stress regulation. Totally. And that's, I'm like diving deep on it. And I know that it's annoying. Like I know that people don't stick around through the conversations that we have on stream about taking care of yourself. But like you have to actually do it. I see people bitch. They're like, I'm super depressed and I'm so tired of hearing people tell me to try yoga. And I'm like, but did you actually try yoga for any length of time? Did you actually try it? Because it does fucking help. And like, you're just being a petulant child from my perspective. I'm not saying it's going to fix all your problems. None of this shit fixes all your problems. You have to just do a lot of little things that cumulatively make you feel better. And doing yoga is not just about the physical activity. It's about being physically present with your body. Self-confidence is so hard to build and so easy to shatter. Yeah. I think you all would probably be upset if I went into any details about what happened that made me feel less good about this than I did 2 weeks ago. But yeah, that's why we're not talking about it. I'm not trying to upset everybody. I'm already upset enough for all of us. Oh yeah, dead domain. Totally, totally. I think dead domain, I don't really see dead domain ever having like the kind of emotional problems that I do. I don't know, it just seems like they're such a fucking powerhouse that they just don't seem to take psychic damage in the way that I do. We got a shank. Yeah. Oh, I'm safe. It's fine. I'm physically safe. Yes. I am not feeling emotionally good. Yeah. Yeah, I agree. Patreon is a great way to support creators even when they need to take a break. I feel bad for taking breaks. Like, I'm probably going to continue streaming until I have a whole other career. You know, like, even if I do, for some fucking stupid ass reason, work a full-time job stocking shelves, which probably wouldn't happen, but I imagine I'll still continue streaming. Excuse me. Ah! Wow, that was crazy. Like 3 or 4 burps, one after the other. Yeah, if we rotate out. Okay, hold on. What is this about influencer laws? I haven't seen anything about this. Okay. Free speech activist speaks on child influencer laws. Oh, this is Taylor Lorenz. Yeah. This is her blog. I recognized it. She published a deep dive on how bad and dangerous she believes these laws claiming to, quote, protect child influencers are. The piece focuses on the Utah law, and she also made a YouTube video breaking this down. She says, unfortunately, the media continues to publish misleading stories praising these laws and pushing a moral panic about young influencers. Not a single one of the reporters or influencers who published inaccurate information about the Utah law has corrected their stories or videos. This is a guest post by Pratika Katiyar, a free speech activist on the danger of Utah's law to, quote, protect child influencers. Utah is the latest to establish a law claiming to protect child influencers, including Illinois, Minnesota, and California. On the surface, it's about protecting privacy, but it could have far-reaching consequences for journalism and free speech. Let's see. This ties into issues like consumer privacy, free speech on social media, and ethical AI governance across the public and private sectors. Sometimes legislation designed to protect fundamental rights can sometimes do the exact opposite, especially for marginalized communities. Okay, so this person is saying that the Utah law is part of a broader wave of child privacy legislation, such as the Kids Online Safety Act and California's Age-Appropriate Design Code, which aim to protect minors and their privacy online, but instead introduce vague or overly broad restrictions that risk suppressing lawful speech and access to information. Right, we were worried about the Kids Online Safety Act because that could be used, if it's like we need to protect kids from obscene content, but then if trans people are considered obscene content, then what does that mean? Does it mean that does it mean that every single one of my videos are going to be age restricted because it's obscene content for children? Like, I don't know what is going to be I don't know what's going to happen. The Utah law specifies that individuals who are at least 18 can, quote, request that a content creator delete or edit any social media content that the content creator posted featuring the individual. Who are at least 18. I wonder, because the way that is phrased makes it sound like, okay, if I am an adult, I can request that someone delete a video of me. Utah joins Minnesota in including such a provision in an attempt to protect individuals who were thrust into the public eye as minors without their informed consent. This applies in cases, quote, where the content creator received income from social media of at least $150,000 in a calendar year. God, if I was making $150,000, I would not bitch about my job. Jesus Christ. Imagine a teenage activist in Utah leading a pivotal protest covered extensively on social media via news outlets and journalists, all deemed content creators. Now imagine that same activist, a few years later, deciding they want all social media coverage from these journalists on their involvement erased. If broadly interpreted or interpreted in bad faith, this law could create a chilling effect on factual and legally obtained reporting that includes minors. Journalists might face pressure to alter or remove stories post-publication on social media platforms, potentially undermining the integrity of news archives. Yeah, I recognize that this is problematic, but it also is so fucking stupid right now to me. Like, wow. Like, I don't have the brain capacity to care about that, I don't think. They better hold these rules for school yearbooks. Yeah. Like, if you publish a school yearbook, you have to change it later. I don't know. It's fucking one of the dumbest things I've tried to read this week. I love the author. She's perfect. Thank you for doing a guest spot on Taylor Loren's website. You're amazing. I just don't give a shit about this. I don't think. I don't have the capacity to give a shit about this. It's supposed to be used by child influencers who have become adults, yet it centers parental rights above the kids, failing to actually protect them. Yeah, totally. Yeah. I think that the concept of parents' rights is constantly being abused. I don't think parents have rights. I think parents have responsibilities. But I don't know. People seem to get really fucking upset when I say that. So, I've just become a duck. Oh man, Beltane is this week. I don't have a plan, but I need to make a plan. I want to celebrate Beltane. I want to feel good about something. I don't feel good about anything right now. Isn't that crazy? Fesh says, rights are meant to protect people from those in power, but parents have power, so parents have no rights. Yes. True. Parents have layers. Yes, true. Like onions and ogres. We have layers. Parents just want clones of themselves. I don't want kids, so I kind of don't understand what goes into the decision to have kids. I mean, sure, for a lot of people, it's not a decision. They just are doing it. Like it just happens, and then they have to just be a parent, right? And I get that. Like, it's, mad respect for people who are just trying to fucking make it work. But when people like choose to have kids, when they're like, I want kids, I don't really understand what it is that people want. Parents are just like onions. They have cartoon stink lines emanating from them. True. Moshe says it's also largely about the red tape it creates. You need to be able to prove at any given time that less than 1/3 of your content features minors, and if it goes above 30%, you could be liable to create a trust fund for prominent minors. So to report on a trans teenager, you have to start keeping crazy books, and it opens you up to litigation by anyone to prove your books in court. Okay, I see. Yeah. Jojo says 100K USD may sound like a lot, but it's not even enough to buy a house anymore. It also doesn't make the job any less miserable. It just means you can buy more toys, which, as you mentioned earlier, is not effective self-care. Well, it does mean that I can take more time off. If I made more money, I could take more time off, and I could take vacations. Like, I could go places that I want to go. not being worried about bills. Like, if I made enough money that I could feel like I am an equal partner in my relationship, that would be cool. That's kind of part of it. That I'd make like $18,000 a year, and that's not enough money to like do anything. You know, if I want to buy a house, if I want to buy land, like that is not going to happen. If I were making $100,000 a year or $150,000 a year, even if fully 25% of that goes to taxes, that would still be like a huge benefit. Like, what if I just took Chloe Cole's job and made $200,000 a year, lying about transition? Like, wouldn't that be something? But no, it's not gonna happen. I'm so salty when I haven't slept. Totally, yeah. Pirate says the U.S. is the only UN member to have not ratified the UN's Convention on the Rights of Children. Are we even still in the UN? Great question. I assume that we are. The type of jobs that pay 100K don't let you take extra time off, like it's full-time or nothing. I'm saying, like, so the reason why we're even talking about 100,000 is because this law in Utah, it applies in cases where the content creator received income from social media of at least $150,000 in a calendar year, which I feel like that's got to be a minority of content creators. Making 150, if I was doing this job and I made $100,000 a year, I would bitch about my job a lot less, is what I'm trying to say. I think the idea of having your kids be an extension of you is a mental way of extending your life in a way, like you're living on through your offspring. Yeah, I could see that. Like the desire to have children is a desire to, yeah, for your legacy to live on. Like if you're going to die, then at least you can Tywin Lannister have the legacy of your family. Exactly, Mosh. The worse the economy gets, the more empathy I have for the D-trans grift. Hell, if I even made $70,000 a year, if I even made $50,000 a year, fuck, even if I made $30,000 a year, I would probably shut the fuck up. But man, it's tough making less than minimum wage. Oh well. Let's see. Oh yeah, what was something about Graham Linehan? Something about Graham Linehan? He's been charged with criminal damage and harassment. Father Ted co-creator Graham Linehan has been charged with criminal damage and harassment without violent offenses. The 56-year-old is due to appear at Westminster Magistrates Court over the accusations next month. It is understood they relate to an alleged incident at a festival named Battle of Ideas on October 19, 2024. After being contacted by the Mirror, Mr. Linehan today issued a statement claiming, "This is part of a long history of the police acting as a goon squad for trans rights activists." That feel when you are certainly fully engaged with reality. Totally. In the statement, which he also posted to social media, the 5-time BAFTA award winner also made a number of allegations about the alleged victim in the case and added, quote, "I look forward to exposing him and them in court." Okay, who fucking cares? He has previously claimed that his career and marriage have been destroyed over his gender-critical views. Blah, 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 blah. Oh, so this article just spins Graham Linehan to seem like a cool dude and doesn't talk about the allegations at all. Let's see. Charged with, let's see, what is the situation? Okay, none of these articles are talking about what actually happened. charged with harassment and criminal damage. But what happened? Oh my god, I hate these fucking things. Reject all cookies. Jesus Christ. How about every single time reject all cookies? I guess there's just nothing clear on what the actual allegations are. There was an allegation that he did something, and we don't know what that is. Yeah, if only the police were on our side, Jesus. What I'm getting at is that the extra money doesn't magically make everything better. You can't buy your way out of burnout. I know that. I know. I'm just saying it would make it a lot fucking easier. It would make it better. If I made more money, I could take the time off to recover from burnout. I just don't. If I was a grown-ass man, I would simply not engage in what I guess is enough bullying to lose in court. Oh, hey, I am. I guess there's still time yet for me. True. Yeah, it's super... Yeah, he claims he was defending himself against a, quote, deranged trans activist. Yeah, Byron, that's a great point. If burnout is a product of stressors from your job, then more money is one less stressor. Yeah, like how many of us are like, I would be able to tolerate my life a lot better if I made more money, you know? Like, that all these different things that are going on. Like, yeah, if I made more money, everything would be a lot easier. So many things would be easier. I love the idea of like making enough money that I could budget to give money out to homeless people. You know, like if I could like if I could budget like $100 a month and like give $20 to 5 different homeless people over the course of the month, I would feel like that is actually tangibly helping someone, and it would make me feel better. Excuse me. Anyhoozle. Okay, what else have we got today? Yeah, that's true. According to these people, all trans people are deranged, so any trans activist is deranged and dangerous, which you've created a portmanteau of demangerous. True. Like, yeah, if I made even $40,000 a year doing this, I could take like a 3 or 4 week long vacation a couple times a year, and I would feel way better. J.K. Rowling. I love Pedro Pascal so much. I can't wait to watch more of The Last of Us tonight. It's going to be so fun. Graham Linehan. Oh, I still have tea. It's ice cold, but I do still have it. In my disappearing, reappearing TARDIS mug. Classic. Okay, what else do I have? Anyone who can use a portmanteau in casual conversation deserves to be making a living wage, surely, Mr. President. True. I make so little because nowhere here hires trans folks. It's genuinely so hard to live. True. Yeah, I at least have the benefit, I guess, of like, if I try to get a job, people basically just perceive me as a cis female. So like, I just have to deal with like the normal glass ceiling shit. Is that true? I didn't know that. Fesh says my favorite Graham Linehan fact lately is that he said JK won't even talk to him anymore. MJ says, I think Graham might have grabbed and thrown the phone of someone who was filming him at whatever event he was at. Okay. Yeah, so destruction of property and nonviolent harassment. That makes sense. That makes sense. That would make the charges make sense. Who's Graham? Do you not? Okay, Graham Linehan. He's he used to be a TV writer, and now his entire life is talking about trans people and how much he hates them. And that's basically all he's got. Respect the Dead has a great episode about Linehan. Whose podcast is that? Do I know someone on the Respect the Dead podcast? Ah, it's Callan Conrad and Hoots. Yes, I do know those two people. Okay. I still think my podcast idea is hilarious. Yeah. I don't know if I remember it. For your reference, watching old Graham Linehan sitcoms with you and Doe and call it the It's crowd. Okay, that's cute. I don't know that you've ever told me that, or maybe you did and I just forgot, but that's pretty funny. And also, I love Doe. I don't think I've ever had a conversation with it before, but it's very fun to read their tweets. Yeah, I love Callan Conrad. They're a sweetheart. This is Graham Linehan. For your reference of like, this is what this person looks like. He used to write for Father Ted and the IT Crowd, and he is now so constantly shitting on trans people that his wife left him and his kids don't talk to him and he can't find any work, and even apparently J.K. Rowling won't talk to him anymore. So he says like, oh, the trans activists ruined my life. Like, it's you, babe. It's you. It's like the end of fucking season 3 of BoJack, where you have to really sit someone down and say, it's you, baby, you're the problem. Sorry. Good news about Tesla. Tesla just took another stock hit, this time due to China limiting rare earth minerals. Trade war is gutting them rapidly. I love China in this trade war, if I am being honest. Hasn't China been, like, posting links to websites where you can buy Chinese products without the tariff costs? Like, they're just straight up undermining the U.S. trade war. It's funny. From what I hear, Graham is both rabidly transphobic and also a creepy middle-aged man. No wonder he's gonna die alone. Yeah. I think he retweeted me one time, and I just completely fucking ignored him. That's pretty much what happened. I know, Sarah Lynn. I'm so sorry. Damn. Yeah, there's just not really much good news right now. I guess the good news is that I have figured out how to prioritize self-care. I'm just not feeling better yet. Oh, here's something fun. Do you want to see something fun? And by fun, I mean horrifying.
This is a prison here inside of El Salvador, and each and every single person you see right now in this video are prisoners. And they made this factory so that way they can now use this factory to create new clothes, one for the prisoners, for the schools, for the government themselves, the hospitals, anything they need, they can now use it and make it here inside of El Salvador versus having to go get it from a country like the United States or China, helping create a more self-sufficient El Salvador. And each and every single day that a prisoner is working here inside of this factory, they then get 2 days taken away from their sentence. So imagine you have 10 years on your sentence, and by working in here, you can get your sentence reduced all the way down to 5 years. Technically, if you work for 5 years inside of this prison, you are then going to get your time cut in half. Every single day you work inside of one of the systems they have here set in El Salvador. It is actually pretty amazing. And what price would you personally pay on 2 extra days of your life? Imagine you are sentenced to 10 years in prison. By working in a place like this, you can then get 5 years of your life back, and you can learn a new skill while you're at it. Obviously, it's not ideal to be a prisoner. However, here in El Salvador, they're helping the prisoners rehabilitate themselves into society, helping them be able to get a new job if they were to decide to go in the field like this when they're done with their time here in El Salvador. Nayib Bukele is really changing the country here in El Salvador. It is quite amazing to see.
So that's a prison camp. Like that's a slave camp where prisoners are forced to do slave labor. What is it? Isn't it like a quote from Nazi Germany of like work will set them free? Like yeah. We created a bunch of new crimes. Yeah, bad math. It should. I was thinking like that's 3.6 years to get out, dumbass. Anyway, yeah, slavery was good for slaves because they learned life skills. Wasn't there a whole fucking episode of Last Week Tonight about that? That was like, here's all the people that right-wingers are claiming they were slaves and then they did well afterward. Like, and it turns out that almost every single one of them is like a false example. It's not a real example of someone being forced to do something in slavery that they then became an expert at as a freedman. I did see that, Xena, that they arrested a judge. Yeah, we haven't even talked about that today. Yeah, if it's amazing, then why aren't you working there? Like, true. The phrase is on the entrance to Auschwitz. Arbeit macht frei. Work will set you free. Yeah. Yeah, wow, I could work off 3 life sentences in only 1 lifetime. Have you seen Sorry to Bother You? No, but they have literally have a slave labor camp and they do an MTV Crib style influencer video on there. It is no joke, just like this. Oh, wow. Yeah, we can't do like satire is dead, right? Like satire is dead. I think satire is dead. I think there is no such thing anymore. Wow. USA federal prison pays inmates 20 cents per hour starting out in the factory type jobs. Yeah. And like prisoners also are firefighters and they do not get paid anywhere near a minimum wage to fight fires. Like, guys, when they need all those additional firefighters in California during the burning season, a lot of those people are prisoners. They're slaves. Because even in the United States, the amendment, I'm so bad with amendment numbers, the amendment that made slavery illegal explicitly says except as punishment for a crime. So slavery never was made illegal. Slavery is legal so long as they construct a crime that you've committed. So yeah, like you just, yeah, the Onion articles are really struggling to express satire. I thought I just shared something from the Onion on like my Facebook recently. I want to see if I can find it. Did I? Yeah. Prison guards burn another pile of used underwear sent to Luigi Mangione. That's what it was. Yeah. Oh, fucking true. When they get out of prison, they are also ineligible to become firefighters because of their prison record. The Onion is just news now. True. I also saw that apparently Jeffrey Epstein's accuser, Virginia Giuffre, has died of, quote, suicide. But she posted on her, I think, Blue Sky account, she previously said, I am making it publicly known that in no way, shape, or form am I suicidal. I have made this known to my therapist and my GP. If something happens to me, in the sake of my family, do not let this go away and help me protect them. Too many evil people want to see me quieted. So, did she get murked? Is that what happened? Like, it kind of fucking seems like it. And that people are spinning this as suicide, even though she explicitly said, I am not suicidal. Yeah, the 13th Amendment explicitly legalizes slavery. Yeah, it's like here is the condition in which slavery is good and acceptable. A lot of Onion articles are just now this is what happened but phrased in a funny way. True. I also like the Art Larntic whatever that satire one is, cuz they actually talk about COVID still. Kind of seems like she got murked, right? Yeah, like wild. She also accused Prince Andrew. Oh no. I do think that the Luigi thing is funny, yes. Burning yet another pile of used underwear sent to Luigi. What's interesting is that the family apparently is saying that she died by suicide, but I'm seeing like this post that seems to be from her that says, I am not suicidal. Oh, I guess the post is from 2019. So like, okay, that's not on Blue Sky then. That's maybe like a Twitter post. What the fuck is that? I don't know. You didn't know about Prince Andrew? I knew that there was some creepy shit with Prince Andrew, and he's got a fucked up face that kind of looks like a person who would be a fucked up weirdo person. But like, I didn't know that there were specific allegations, I guess. There's like too much for me to keep track of. Cans and Capybara predicts that our administration is going to have a lot of window accidents for dissidents like we're in Russia. Yeah. And like, isn't the aliens, the act, oh my God, what is it called? Isn't one of the things about the, like, the Alien Invaders Act or whatever the fuck it is that they just invoked that you no longer have to have a warrant? They can just say like, oh, I think that you're harboring an illegal person and we can just get into your house. It certainly has me thinking about home security a lot more, you know? I'm like wondering, like, should we go ahead and bar our door at night? Kind of stuff. Mosh says, yeah, I saw this as a Twitter post. The Amber Heard trial shows how willing psychiatrists are to go on record against abuse survivors, so it'll be hard to prove it wasn't suicide. Yeah. Aliens and Enemies Act. Thank you. Did we see the first American citizen has been deported? I've been, there's been all kinds of fucking things. I don't know that I caught that one specifically. Let me see. What do I have about, immigrants this week? What have I got here? Oh, this was just really funny. So I'm going to share it with you just because I thought it was funny. And I need a moment. I need a moment.
Some women have been single for so long they don't date anymore. They grant you access to their peaceful little empire like a reluctant queen, handing you a visitor's badge. You text her good morning and she's already annoyed like why are you disturbing the sacred silence of my personal gross journey? You think you're gonna be her
His accent is so thick. I hope that you can see the text on the screen.
boyfriend? Bro, she's sleeping diagonally in her bed for
Bro, she's sleeping diagonally in her bed for 3 years.
3 years. She's not giving up that territory because you opened the door and paid for a coffee. Her vibe is I love the idea of you, but your physical presence is kind of ruining my aesthetic. You
I love the idea of you, but your physical presence is kind of ruining my aesthetic. Oh my God.
plan a cute date. She's thinking that sounds nice, but also I could stay home, deep clean my apartment, do a 12-step skincare routine, order sushi, and not have to listen to a man breathe.
I don't know why, but that part fucked me up so bad. I could, like, you're planning a date and that's cute, but I could also stay in, deep clean my apartment, do a 12-step skincare routine, order sushi, and not have to listen to a man breathe. I'm like, oh my God. That's crazy. That's crazy. Oh, man.
Romantic surprises, risky. You show up unannounced with flowers, cool. She already scheduled her evening. 2-hour bubble bath, wine, rewatching Pride and Prejudice for emotional stability. You're not part of the itinerary, Jonathan.
You're not part of the itinerary, Jonathan.
You try to check in emotionally. How are you feeling? She's feeling fantastic because you're not here. When she says, I need space, she doesn't mean I am upset. She means she wants to lay face down on her bed for 3 hours without explaining it to anyone. You're not competing with other guys. There are no other guys. You're competing with her weighted blanket, her piece, her cat named
You're not competing with other guys. You're competing with her weighted blanket, her piece, her cat named Chairman Meow.
Chairman Meow, and the simple joy of not having to share her fries. And the second you cause even 0.0001% stress, gone, vanished. Back to her solo adventures and 8700 therapy newsletters. Are you okay? Yes, she's thriving. She just booked a solo trip to Iceland while you were still composing your good morning beautiful text. Dating a girl who is used to being alone is not romance, it's extreme sport for your self-esteem.
Dating a girl who's used to being alone is not, it's an extreme sport for your self-esteem, is what he said. Oh my God, that was fucking hilarious. I love that post. What a great video. Really cracked me up. The Mississippi Supreme Court has ruled in an 8-1 ruling that a transgender teen cannot legally change their name until they turn 21, solely because they are trans, despite having the support of both parents. So, that's fucking crazy. That, presently the person is 16 years old, 16-year-old trans boy. The court has said he's not allowed to change his name even though the family supports him. So that's crazy. I kind of want a cat suddenly, yeah. Politico ran a story Friday about ICE deporting a 2-year-old U.S. citizen. He's deeply French. It's a deep French accent. But yeah, the kid was deported with the mom, I think. Like, the mom was not a U.S. citizen or something. So yeah, we're seeing more and more instances of kids appearing in front of immigration courts with no lawyer and no parents present. Just insane shit. Insane. We hate it. We don't like this. Don't leave the house without pepper spray and keep one handy by the door alongside your doorstep. Yes. Pepper spray at the very minimum. Pepper spray at the very minimum. Yep, totally. Yeah, I don't think I had any good news this week. Oh, I mean, except for the Pope died. You know, the Pope died. That's cool. That's always nice. It gave me an opportunity to revisit the Tim Minchin Fuck the Pope song. The 2-year-old was actively with the mom and other kid. They all got rounded up, and the mom said, I want the 2-year-old to come with me, even though the dad was calling trying to coordinate who would take the 2-year-old, and ICE only let them talk for literally 1 minute. Yeah, I maybe have already said this, or maybe this was just something I posted on Blue Sky or something, but with all these ICE agents who do not have, they're not wearing a badge, they're not in uniform, they're in plain clothes, and they're just like kidnapping people. I wonder how many human traffickers are like, damn, I didn't know that we could just black bag people like that. Like that you could just in plain clothes black bag people and not get fucking shot. This is America. Oh my God. I am so shocked that we have not yet had a situation where an ICE agent has bitten a bullet, because what the fuck is going on? Like, human traffickers, like, typically the process of, like, you know, we think of the movie Taken or whatever, like that's what I'm referencing here. Human traffickers, it's like, oh, they'll do things like, if you listen to a lot of true crime podcasts, which I don't, but my sister does, she was like, you have to be careful with women too, because sometimes women will be the bait and then a man will come grab you, you know? So they've been doing all these like elaborate ruses to traffic people. And it turns out that the whole time, apparently, you could just black bag people off the fucking subway. And not get shot in the face. And like, I don't understand what is happening right now, that in America, you can just steal people off the street and not bite a bullet. Like, I don't get it. Like, and like the whole time I've been a kid, I've just been like, okay, you know, police, you know, they're in uniform, you know, and if they are not in uniform, then they have to at least declare that they're police if they're in the middle of arresting you. Like, you can't arrest people if you're not a police officer because that's just kidnapping. And like, I just don't understand. Like, I don't even know if we know that all of these people doing these abductions are ICE agents. Like, if you were a human trafficker, wouldn't this be the perfect time to start trafficking people much more openly? Since ICE can just do it without badges, without uniforms. Like, yeah, you're not supposed to be able to arrest people without reading their Miranda rights. Like, that's why this is not happening through a correct legal process, because they're breaking all of the rules around how you're supposed to do this. Like, there was that video of that guy like smashing in a car window with a sledgehammer. And I'm just like, this is America. Don't catch you slipping now. Like, what do you think is going to happen? I don't know. Yeah, maybe some agents are helping traffickers. And I mean, to be clear, this is human trafficking, right? These are not deportations. This is kidnapping and trafficking human beings to a slave labor camp in El Salvador. And like there was like something on Google Earth that seems like it's a fucking pile of bodies outside CCOT. Let me see if I can find that. Can I open this in a new tab? So it seems like there is just a pile of dead bodies outside of CCOT. I know it's a really fucking blurry picture, but like, that seems like what it is. That is human trafficking. The excuse is because they are here illegally, they are not due any process. Yeah, but like, yeah, that's why we have situations where like citizens are getting caught up in this, or even people with a legal green card or people with a visa, like people who are supposed to be here. Because if you don't have, oh my God, the brain is so difficult today. But it doesn't say any citizen, like the due, it says like any person. The 14th Amendment's due process clause provides that no state may deprive any person of life, liberty, or property without due process of law. So like you can say, oh, well, it's because they're illegally here. And it's like, but it doesn't say that due process is only extended to citizens. Later, Drea. Have a good night. Isn't the case law requiring regular police to identify themselves based around it being reasonable to not comply, even with lethal force, with strangers telling you to submit to their authority? I would assume like that, because that's the whole thing, is like, if our society has created a group of people who are allowed to be violent, who are allowed to kidnap you under the pretense of you broke the law, right? So we have empowered a group of people who are allowed to kidnap you and cage you and abuse you and all that. And like, that is the government's job on at least one axis. The government's job is to violently kidnap people. And so, yeah, if you create that system where like, okay, this special group of people is allowed to kidnap people, that's officially sanctioned kidnapping. And by that, I mean arresting people and putting them in jail. That's legally sanctioned kidnapping. Legally justified kidnapping. So if anyone else tries to do that and like they don't make it clear that they're a police officer, the correct thing to do is to violently oppose that kidnapping by any means. Like that is largely broadly considered to be a completely reasonable response. Like totally reasonable to be violent to someone who breaks into your house in the middle of the night, right? If someone breaks into your house in the middle of the night and they don't say police, blah, 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 then shoot that person. That's what you do. It's like, it's only by the fact that they are being given power of authority by the law and the government that they have the ability to do something that is, generally speaking, considered to be like non-violent, or sorry, is considered to be like violent and not acceptable, is what I was trying to say. Have a good nap, kitty. Yeah, due process in this situation is there to make sure that deporting them is actually the legal thing to do. Vega versus Teco in 2022 removed the requirement to read Miranda in most arrests. Wow. That's wild. We probably haven't even heard about ICE impersonators because they're already doing this and nobody would notice. Especially ICE because they don't keep books. Right. Hey, welcome to the website. We got a new person on the website. Esoterica, hello. Says, I was in a homeless shelter a couple months ago and there was only one guy there who didn't speak English. His green card was almost up and the case manager didn't lift a finger to help, even when ICE started coming to the shelter repeatedly. There were unmarked vans crawling the area over one guy. I'm terrified they found him because she was threatening to kick him out onto the street if he didn't get a job. Yeah, I just don't understand. And you're not supposed to understand because it's not supposed to be logical. It's not logical. I guess if you frame it as like, yeah, they just want to hurt people, then yeah, it makes perfect sense. It just doesn't follow the rules. Like, it seems as though ICE is like operating in a way that is similar to the police, but is like not officially sanctioned in the same way. But this has been the case for years now, you know, and like, this is why people hate Biden so much. This is why he was not a good president, because family separation and deportations were still happening under Biden. Like, do we not? We don't have the right to protect ourselves, is like what it comes down to. I mean, if you're white and you're straight and everything, like, you do have the right to protect yourself. If you're a man, like, let's be clear. If you're a white man, you have the right to protect yourself. Because, yeah, if someone stormed your house or busted in your car window and that person isn't a cop, then, like, yeah, in America, the thing to do is shoot that person. I mean, we even saw, there was a case some months ago of a woman who shot a guy, I think it was in Las Vegas, that there was like a traffic incident and like a guy was road raging and he got out of his car and he had a gun and he walked up to this woman's window and she shot him through the window and killed him in a completely justified situation of self-defense. And like, I just don't know how this is not going to erupt into a broader violent problem, especially if you know that there's no due process for you. Like, it would be completely understandable for people to respond, as Americans do, by retaliatory gun violence if you know that there's a chance that you being arrested will result in you bypassing the entire court system and ending up in a prison camp where there is a pile of bodies outside. Like, there's like no reason not to go down fighting, right? Like, this is classic American culture. I just, it's so weird. The technical term is Gestapo, true. Yeah, it's clandestine, deregulated police. And this isn't just me saying this. Like, this is the opinion of legal experts. But apparently, even if you're a legal expert, you can end up in jail. Like, yeah. Who was it? Judge Dugan? Hannah Dugan. So Hannah Dugan is she was a judge in Milwaukee. Excuse me. Oh my God. So she was seeing a case. Jesus Christ. So Dugan was hit with a criminal complaint Friday, alleging that on April 18th, she helped a man called Eduardo Flores Ruiz and his attorney exit her courtroom when U.S. Immigration and Customs Enforcement agents showed up to arrest a man that they said was an undocumented immigrant. Her alleged actions were cheered by immigration advocates who rallied outside of the courthouse, with speakers leading up the protesters in chants of, quote, due process not negotiable, and, quote, drop the charges. Christine Newman-Ortiz, executive director of Voces de la Frontera, says, we see nothing wrong with what she did. So basically what happened is that Dugan knew that there were ICE agents outside, and she had her client, she had the defendant exit the court through a jury-only door. And then Dugan has now been arrested for, like, obstructing ICE or something. And she's going to be appearing before a federal magistrate judge. So that was just like 2 days ago. She met with the judge on Friday and was released pending her hearing on May 15th upcoming. Can you imagine the shitstorm if someone did take shots at ICE? I'm just saying I don't know how it hasn't happened already. Like I don't know. Like, as an American, if you have a gun and someone starts bashing in the window of your car, I feel like that's a justified threat to your life that would, in many cases, be considered like a proportionate amount of, like, retaliation or self-defense if you were to shoot somebody who's bashing in the window of your car in an attempt to, like, arrest you or whatever, or like kidnap you. And like, especially if they're not a cop, who the fuck, like, I just don't know, like, what you expect to happen by doing this to people in a country where there are more guns than people. Arresting a judge was really a panic moment for me. This is truly the end of the judiciary. Totally, yeah. Like, this, I've seen some chitter chatter that, like, even moderate Republicans are afraid that, like, if they speak out, they'll get in trouble or they'll get arrested or something. Like, so here's a little bit of good news. 6 men have been charged after forcibly removing a woman from a North Idaho town hall. Y'all probably remember this. This video of this woman being dragged out by, again, plainclothes people. Shush, I don't want to hear you. She was, like, removed from this event for interrupting. And again, these are plainclothes people. I'm wondering why these men still have functional noses. Because, again, this is America. Like, some random dudes in plain clothes are attacking a woman. Why did anyone let that happen in the first place? But so the business license for the security firm that they worked for has been revoked. It was called Lear Asset Management, and they were revoked for violating city ordinances regarding security agencies. The Coeur d'Alene City Attorney's Office shared the names of the involved men and their listed charges. They've been charged with battery, false imprisonment, security agent uniform violation, and security agent duties violation. And that's basically the same for all of the guys. Like, some combination of battery, false imprisonment, security agent uniform violation, security agent duties violation. The woman initially faced a battery charge, which was later dismissed since the Coeur d'Alene Police Department continued its investigation. Yeah, because she, I think, bit one of them. So, like, I guess that's a little spot of good news that, like, at least in the case of private individual security firms, we can expect that there will be charges. But, like, there's no... I don't know what's going to happen with ICE or like any, again, like we don't even know how many of these people actually work for ICE because they don't wear anything that says who they work for. So it could just be any person. PCP, plainclothes people, true. So, like, I'm not a legal expert, obviously. I'm just, like, watching what's going down and going, like, we're gonna hit a boiling point at some point. Like, there's gonna be a violent reaction. And I'm not saying that I support it. I'm not saying that anybody should or anything, but I'm just saying, like, if we keep seeing these situations, like, it's just gonna so happen that someone gets shot. Like, that's just what happens in America. And I don't know what is going to happen after that. I do worry a little bit that if there is going to be any kind of reaction beyond just peaceful protests, like if anybody does forcibly de-arrest someone from an ICE agent or something, you know, I think that unfortunately that's just going to justify further encroachment and crackdowns, which obviously we don't want. And it's like that bad combination of, like, there are people who want to stand in opposition to this. There are people who want to oppose it. There are people who want to protect their neighbors and everything. And, like, I understand that feeling. So I don't know, like, how long this can continue the way that it is without people reaching a breaking point between not being able to afford food and having to worry about your house getting broken into by people who may or may not be law enforcement officers. Like, you don't know. And, like, if you like, if someone enters your home and you shoot them and it turns out that they were law enforcement, but they didn't, like, you didn't know that doesn't mean that you're not going to get in trouble in the way that a person gets in trouble for knowingly killing an officer. Like, you know, it's like the situation with Breonna Taylor, right? We saw this with Breonna Taylor where she was asleep in her bed and the police, like, stormed in and didn't declare what they were going to do. Like, they didn't declare who they were, and her boyfriend got out his gun and shot at the officers, and then he got shot and died. Or no, did he not die? Breonna Taylor died, but the boyfriend didn't. But that's like the thing that you're supposed to do as an American man is defend your girlfriend, defend your home. That's what you're supposed to do. They may act against us if we resist, but they're going to act against us anyway. So what is the real loss? Yeah. I mean, I think every person has to, like, make their own decisions, right? Because even talking about this stuff has the potential to have consequences. Like, there are people who have had FBI knock on their door to talk to them about their social media posts and stuff. And, like, at a certain point, you know, I can understand why a lot of people are like, I'm stepping away from talking about this because I don't want to get black bagged off to fucking El Salvador. Or, like, I don't want FBI agents showing up at my house or whatever, you know, like, I completely understand that the personal risk is so high. Like, it's scary to be in America right now, even as a white person. Like, I am white. I was born here. I was born in the state of Kansas, like, red-blooded American, whatever. I'm not even really a threat in terms of being trans anymore because I'm not, like, actively seeking treatment or anything right now, and I mostly don't try to seem gender nonconforming in public. Like, I in no way challenge this system. I am not like breaking the law or anything, but I still worry. And I think that that worry is justified. And like, how many people are going to be scared every day of their lives? How can you function? How are you supposed to compartmentalize that? I remember hearing my mom argue that Taylor getting shot was fine because, quote, you are the company you keep. Christian woman, by the way. That's fucked up. Like, and it wasn't even the right house. That's crazy. It's like, okay, this wasn't even the right house, so it doesn't even have anything to do with what company she keeps. A man owning a gun and keeping it in his bedside table is a totally normal American thing to do. Defending your home from invaders is a totally normal American thing to do. That's crazy. Oh man, I don't know what I would do. I would flip out. I would freak out. Fuck needing to be palatable to centrists by denouncing violence. How far has this got us? I mean, again, to be clear, like, you have to be careful what you say in public. You know? Like, I'm saying, like, I am surprised that this hasn't happened. I'm not saying this should happen. And I don't believe that necessarily we should start shooting people in the street. Like, that's obviously a really extreme situation. But like, we're in a very extreme situation, and I can understand why people are going to freak out at some point. Like, you can't keep pushing people and expect them not to break or whatever. Yeah, but like, I am not advocating for violence, and you can't publicly advocate for violence, even if that is something that you believe. What I advocate for is like, I want to go live by myself. I want to go do shit in the woods. I don't want to have this conversation. I don't want to have to think about this. It's not my fault that any of this is happening. And like, what I would love to do is just leave. I don't want to have to leave the country, but it kind of feels like the options are getting really fucking limited on like, what, you know? And that's the thing is like, okay, I, as an American citizen, am genuinely thinking about leaving the country because it is not a safe place for citizens. But that's the desired effect. The desired effect is we feel too scared to do anything. Like, I don't want to die. I don't want to get sent to an El Salvador prison camp. I don't want to get arrested. I don't want to get raped. Like, I don't want to have any of those things happen. And so the feeling of not wanting those things to happen changes what people do. And like, that makes perfect sense. Yeah, Jesus famously never had anything to do with society's lowlifes. True. If it wasn't the fact that they were cops, the right would never shut up about the Taylor case being a good guy with a gun TM. True. By Tuesday, we'll find out if Canada is safe. As long as the Conservatives don't win, we're good. Yeah. Did anything ever come from Australia or Norway's bills about accepting trans refugees? I haven't heard anything. I'm not presently familiar with any I haven't heard about any movement on that. Doesn't mean that there hasn't been. I just haven't heard it. Ember says, I'm just not thinking about it. I assume I'll have to go on a moment's notice and keep a portable safe packed with docs, money, and HRT. Australia is still processing. Not sure about Norway. Okay. Yeah, like none of us wants to be in a situation where we're having to consider what we would do if plainclothes people start breaking into our home. I don't want to have to think about that. But, like, that is what is happening, and it has been happening for a long time. Again, with the Breonna Taylor example, like, black people, that's like the terrorism that they have lived under their entire lives. Canada has such a bill, but America isn't considered an at-risk country yet. Yeah, the problem with Canada and taking trans refugees or asylum seekers is that so long as there are safe places within your country, they will not accept you. So, like, because, you know, Minnesota, Oregon, Washington, California, because there are places with legal protections for trans people here, the whole of the U.S. is not considered unsafe. So that's what the issue is with that. That's the last of my water. I might have to grab a new water here. Later, John. 62 people in here. We're almost at 69 likes. We've only gotten $5 in donations today. Although, understandably, rent is due this week, so maybe y'all are saving your money for that. Completely understand. But, you know, this is the job. And I appreciate getting donations for it. Oh, a preliminary injunction has been granted in the trans passport case. So that's good news. Presently, the injunction only applies to the plaintiff, but they will be able to seek class certification soon, which means it can become a class action lawsuit. So yeah, we're looking at potentially some legal challenges to the whole passport thing. For over 30 years, transgender Americans have been able to obtain a passport from the Department of State that reflects their gender identity rather than the sex they were assigned at birth. Initially, from 1992 to 2010, an applicant had to submit evidence of surgical reassignment to obtain such a passport. In a revised policy adopted in 2010, the State Department required transgender applicants to submit only a certification from a physician that they were receiving appropriate clinical treatment for gender transition to receive such a passport. And then in 2021, the State Department again revised the policy to allow trans applicants to receive a passport with a sex marker reflective of their gender identity without medical documentation. So yeah, there is a lawsuit happening. Plaintiffs versus Donald Trump, U.S. Department of State, Marco Rubio, and United States of America. So that's cool. Good news. For refugee status, you have to demonstrate that you personally are under threat, not just not just general danger. Yeah, totally. Let's see. This is a little thing from NBC News. American doctor receives email from immigration officials telling her to leave the country immediately. Dr. Lisa Anderson, 58, was born in Pennsylvania and is a U.S. citizen. Yeah. Florida used to allow gender marker change on our state ID with just a document from doctor. Then they reversed it and said any licenses that don't match sex assigned at birth is fraud. Yeah, Kansas did not declare it fraud, but it was a similar thing where you could change your whatever based on I just got like a letter from my doctor that said, hey, this person has undergone medical transition, and I changed my legal sex on my driver's license. So they've taken that away, but it's not fraud now. In Kansas, at least. I know that they're talking about making it fraud in Texas. Excuse me. Yeah, for a doctor who is a born citizen, that's crazy. Like, by the way, you should leave. Leave the country. And there was that PhD student, what, it's an XKCD comic that I think that they just, yeah. PhD timeline. U.S. PhD program timeline. Enrollment. Meet with advisor. Research proposal. Qualifying exams. Propose dissertation. Research and write dissertation. Oh, get grabbed off the sidewalk outside your home by masked government agents. Be whisked out of the state before a judge has time to intervene. Question mark? And this is, of course, referring to Rumezia Öztürk, grabbed off the street in the same town of the creator of XKCD. Yeah, she's like doing research on how to fucking cure cancer or something. And they're like, by the way, we don't want you here. Crazy. And then there's the autism registry, which I think we talked about a little bit on Wednesday. NYU faculty have taken some of their classes off campus to protest the lack of protections for international students. More than 50 NYU faculty members have taken their classes off campus starting today and continuing for the next week to protest the university's lack of commitment to protect international students in the face of the Trump administration's attacks. Some faculty have moved their classes to in-person locations that have been declared sanctuary spaces, where international students are assured that building administrators will do everything in their power to refuse to cooperate with ICE agents. Other faculty have moved their classes online so that students can attend from a safe location of their choosing. Reminds me of that George Carlin bit, they're not pro-life, they're killing doctors. True. So, you know, there are people who are resisting. Like, that is one way to do it. Just going like, yeah, we're just going to start having classes online so that you can zoom in from wherever you're at. There's this guy, Jose Hermosillo, who the administration said that he turned himself in to Border Patrol and told them he was a Mexican who crossed the border illegally. But once interviewed, Jose says that that's wrong. He says he was visiting his girlfriend's family in Tucson from his home in Albuquerque, New Mexico. Several hours before his arrest, he was transported to hospital in Tucson by ambulance after suffering a seizure. He has a New Mexico state ID, but it did not make it to the hospital with him because of the medical emergency. After being released from the hospital following treatment, Hermosillo did not know how to return to where he was staying. He approached a Border Patrol officer because he was looking for someone to help him. He says, "I saw a car and I asked him for help." He told the officers that he was staying in Tucson. The officers go, "Oh, you're not from here. Do you have your papers?" The officer said, according to Hermosillo, when the officer asked where he was from, he told the officer he's from New Mexico, and then the officer accused him of lying, saying, "Don't make me out like I'm stupid. I know you're from Mexico." And then Hermosillo was arrested. He says he never told the officer he was born in Mexico, was a citizen of Mexico, or entered the country illegally, and he would not have said those things because they are not true. He signed the transcript released by DHS because the officer ordered him to sign everything, but Hermosillo did not read it because he cannot read. He has an intellectual disability. Yeah, he's got learning disabilities and can't read, and they made him sign a sworn statement without reading it to him. He is a U.S. citizen, wrongly jailed in an immigration detention facility for 10 days. So it's just another situation where a citizen is being impacted. Why seek an education here if your permit isn't worth the paper it's printed on? Yeah, like, America is supposed to be, like, we want people to come here and do research. You know, we want people to make our country better by going out and doing, you know, amazing things. It's not just the cultural melting pot, which I did talk about recently, that, like, yeah, it's good to have people with different cultural backgrounds in one place. It helps make sure we don't fall into traps where we all think the same way. But also, yeah, you're like bringing expertise here. You're developing expertise. You're contributing to research that helps Americans. And that should be something that we want. But we're sabotaging ourselves. We're cutting off our nose to spite our face because we're like, oh, we don't, like, on a blanket rule, we don't want these people here. And really, like, I think a lot of white people, it does come down to like, I don't want brown people here. I don't care what language you speak. I don't care what good you do for society. I don't care that you're more qualified than I am as a white person. We don't want you here. And we're going to portray it as though we're superior and you're inferior. Oh, there's also this. Apparently, Trump administration, hold on. Oh, yeah, well, I don't want to give you my email, so I'm not going to do that. Apparently, professors at Barnard got texts from the federal government reaching out to our personal cell phones to identify who is Jewish. And Barnard professor Debbie Betcher describes that as incredibly sinister. She is Jewish and received the text message. Apparently, Trump's Equal Opportunity Office, which why do you still have that, is investigating Barnard's employment practices. Professors received texts to their personal phones linking to a survey asking if they were Jewish and if they had been subjected to, quote, unwelcome discussions. Police will literally just say on record that you confessed to what you were arrested for, like a Homer Simpson simpleton, and it's taken for granted as fact. Yeah, we had this guy with an intellectual disability sign this piece of paper that he can't read, and that means he said it. Like, that means he agrees. George Carlin also said, how come when it's a person, it's an abortion, but when it's a chicken, it's an omelet? I know. Yummy, yummy. I guess it would, when do fetuses get bones? Would it be like eating an anchovy where it's like technically it has bones, but they're really soft? Like eating a fetus, like, it's kind of like, you know, those horrendous, like partially, wait, hold on, what is it called? Balut? Yeah. Balut is a boiled fertilized duck egg with a developing embryo inside of it. It is a popular street food and delicacy in Southeast Asia. That's like what it would be like to eat a fetus, I assume. It would be like eating balut. Xenophobia and non-holistic thinking make a pretty mean-ass combo. It's true, yeah. Oh my god, I retweeted so many things this week. Oh, hey, here's a victory. I believe this is in the state of Washington. Oh my god. Yes, in Washington State, U.S. District Judge Thomas Zilli ruled that by not covering, quote, procedures known as mastectomy, breast reduction, or chest or top surgery for trans and non-binary minors, but covering them for cisgender youth violates the Affordable Care Act by, quote, facially discriminating on the basis of sex. He denied the age discrimination claims, saying they had failed to exhaust all legal remedies and declined to give their lawsuit class action status. So, still, sex discrimination is a major victory. The finding of sex discrimination. So Lambda Legal represented these teenagers along with the law firm of Sirianni Youth Spoonmore Hamburger. That's fucking funny. Spoonmore Hamburger. Like, come on, really? You knew what you were doing when you did that. The suit was filed in June 2023 on behalf of a couple trans boys. The court determined in no uncertain terms that Primera Blue Cross's policy categorically denying safe, evidence-based, and effective healthcare for the treatment of gender dysphoria to trans adolescents under 18 is discriminatory and unlawful. In fact, the court could not have been clearer. As it wrote in the ruling, quote, the court need not choose between the divergent interpretations of the term sex because under either view, Primera's medical policy facially discriminates on the basis of sex. That's great. I had a Filipino boss and she refused to eat that shit. I would not want to eat balut either. It was just funny in the, like, what would it be like to eat a fetus? Just take the fetus and just pop it in your mouth, crunch on it. Like, would it be crunchy or would it be squishy? And then I was like, I guess it would be like balut. If a health insurer covers a medical treatment for cisgender minors, and Primera does, then it cannot exclude all coverage of the same medical treatment for transgender minors, says one of the lawyers. Primera's exclusion targeting transgender minors is illegal discrimination, plain and simple. Hell yeah. So that's a great win. We love living in a state where there's fucking humane laws. Whether it's, basically anywhere on the West Coast, California, Oregon, Washington. It's crazy to live in a state where the legal system actually upholds the rule of law, even when the group at question is maybe still not a desirable group to the majority. They just kind of disintegrate in your mouth like cotton candy. I don't like that. I don't like that. I don't. Okay, I guess that's all the shit that I retweeted this week. There were so many things. Oh yeah, okay, so the Supreme Court temporarily blocks new deportations under Alien Enemies Act. We don't know if he's going to give a shit what the courts say, though. That's kind of one of the questions that we have about that. Have a little humane law as a treat. Yeah. And then this is what Mira shared with us way earlier about the Equality Act and the Supreme Court ruling in the UK. A former civil servant who played a key role in drafting the Equality Act has said that the Supreme Court's ruling about the legal definition of a woman contradicted the Act's original intentions. Melanie Field, who oversaw its drafting and passage through Westminster in 2010, said the legislation was meant to give transgender people with gender recognition certificates the same legal status as biological men or women. She said that treating trans women with GRCs as women in relation to sex discrimination protections was, quote, the clear premise of the policy and legal instructions to the officials who drafted the bill. The Supreme Court's ruling on Wednesday that the legal definition of woman only referred to biological women was a, quote, very significant reinterpretation of Parliament's intentions when it passed the Equality Act in 2010 and the Gender Recognition Act 2004. She says there are likely to be unintended consequences of this very significant change of interpretation from the basis on which the legislation was drafted and considered by Parliament. We all need to understand that what this change means for how the law provides for the appropriate treatment of natal and trans women and men in a whole range of contexts. So, like, the woman who fucking wrote the Equality Act law is saying that, like, the Supreme Court's interpretation is literally the opposite of what we intended when we wrote this law. So, yeah. Oh, man, I've got so many tabs open now. I need to get rid of some of these tabs. Yeah, With Honors. It's a movie that I need to look into. Cool. Well, we still have 50 people here. Good gracious. Hello, 50 people. We got to 76 likes so far. Love that. It's quick, it's easy, it's free. Easy way to support the show. We appreciate donations as well, but it kind of looks like we're not getting very many today. That's okay. I appreciate the one we got up top. That was nice. Don't eat us the fetus. I'll do what I fucking want. I'll do whatever I want. I've definitely been having some of those moments recently where I'm like, I will do whatever I want. I don't care what people think. Yeah, man. So it's no wonder that we're all stressed out constantly if that collection of news is what we're dealing with. I'm like, oh yeah, the erosion of rights here, a citizen getting deported here. Haha, funny video of a Frenchman talking about how talking about how dating single women is hard, or sorry, dating women who've been single for a while is hard because they don't care about your presence. They just want to have their own peaceful night. Haha, funny. Whiplash. I think this is what makes scrolling addictive, is that you have all these like horrible things and then you see like a haha funny or like a cute cat video. It kind of reminds me of the entire premise of the Hunger Games. I mean, I guess not the premise, the inspiration for the Hunger Games being Suzanne Collins flipping through the channels and seeing like news about the Iraq war. And then you click to the next channel and it's like a reality TV show. And that's kind of like where the idea came for the Hunger Games. But it is kind of a similar thing where we're seeing like horror and haha cute funny videos, and like the way that it alternates between the two creates like an addictive thing where like you get stressed out and worried about something and then you feel a sense of relief by seeing the cute cat video or whatever. And it's like a really very effective way of creating an addictive cycle. Yes, here's a tip for straining pasta. Here's a 5-year-old who died. Or a 9-year-old, maybe. I can't remember the lyrics to the song. That's a great song. I love that song. It's Welcome to the Internet by Bo Burnham, if y'all are not familiar. Yeah, it kind of talks about that. You know, what does he say? We've got movies and doctors and fantasy sports and a bunch of colored pencil drawings of all the characters from Harry Potter having sex with each other. Welcome to the internet. Hold on to your socks, because some random guy just kindly sent you photos of his cock. They are grainy and off-putting. He just sent you more. Don't act surprised, you know you like it, you whore. See a man beheaded, get offended, see a shrink. Show us pictures of your children. Tell us every thought you think. Start a rumor, buy a broom, or send a death threat to a boomer. Or DM a girl and groomer. I can't remember all the words. That gets a little funny there. But yeah, no, it's completely accurate. It's fucked up. Shout out to the Battle Royale Japanese films. True. Yeah. The concept of the Battle Royale. I think it was a book, maybe initially, like the first Battle Royale was a book. And that kind of, gave birth to the Hunger Games, which is a movie series and a book series that I'm a little bit obsessed with. Like a little bit. They're like telling me something and I don't know what it is. I'm still trying to figure out exactly what it is that's so fascinating to me about them. I don't really have like a lot else planned for today. I'm like, okay, let's just shoot the shit for a little while longer, I suppose. I just rewatched all of the Hunger Games at once and they're so good. I know! They're really faithful as an adaptation. You know, it's like the movies themselves are a pretty good, faithful adaptation of the books. And then the books are amazing, so politics is done so well and the characters are very lovable. Yeah, I think the great thing about is like all of the characters are understandable to some degree. Like we understand Katniss. She has a priority that's like, I need to take care of my family. And like, she's not a radical. She doesn't want to take down the government of Panem. She just wants to be safe and she wants her sister to be safe. Like to her, I think it's like, she just has to get her and her sister over the age of 18 and then she'll fucking breathe easy. Like that's the only thing she's thinking about as like a character when we first meet her. She's like, how can I get through the next 6 years? It's her sister's first year having her name in the thing and she gets called and it's terrible. And then like PETA has this whole like, I don't want them to change me. I want to retain my humanity. They can't force me to become something that I'm not. And then Gale and his perspective of like, I want to either escape, which is a rebellious thought in and of itself because you're not allowed to leave Panem. But he's also like, he's like further along in feeling rebellious than Katniss is. And he's like, what if we could take down the Capitol? You know, like once things kind of start to accelerate, and like every character has like an understandable perspective. And it's exploring like just war theory and social contract theory. They're really interesting from a political standpoint, like from a philosophical standpoint as well, especially Songbirds and Snakes. The prequel, not well, there's two prequel novels, I guess. The first prequel novel about President Snow's rise to power focuses a ton on social contract theory and like what is it that makes people people, you know? There's this view, I want to say it's like Thomas Hobbes and Jean-Paul Sartre. I know Thomas Hobbes, but I might be wrong about Sartre. But it's this view that like humanity, when you strip away all of our fine manners and society, what we are at our core is like violent, individualistic animals. And that theory is confirmed if you look at what happens in the Hunger Games. But that's not natural. Like, that's not the natural state of being. Throwing 24 kids into an arena and saying, kill each other, only one of you is going to survive, that's not natural. Like, you've put them in a position to behave in a way that is fundamentally very unnatural. And so, like, yeah, it's really interesting. Just war theory and social contract theory stuff. And, you know, it's also about, like even when oppression has gone on and on and on, long and long and long, like there is no foregone conclusion of like never being able to rebel, you know? I can't believe we slept on Songbirds when they bagged Peter Dinklage. I think Songbirds and Snakes was a good movie. It's a little long. I think it could have done with being split into 2 movies maybe or something, but yeah, Lord of the Flies is the same. That's not how kids would usually act. Yeah. None of these people are behaving in a natural way. If you're depriving people of, I'm going to say nutrients, but that's like if you're depriving people of adequate nutrition, you're forcing them to work in degrading jobs that hurt their bodies. You threaten their families and stuff. Like, that's not natural. It had a weird structure because they didn't split it into. Yeah, it was weirdly like a 3-act thing, like a 3-parter almost, which I understand why they didn't want to break it into 3 parts. Yeah, no, it was a good movie though. It's like the one thing that I want to get Paramount Plus for. It's like, I just want to be able to, I just need to buy those movies. I should just buy them on Amazon or something and like watch them anytime I want to. Because I do frequently want to watch them. IARC, there was an actual instance of something like that. You mean like the Lord of the Flies? And the participants ended up creating something nice. That's cool. I didn't know about that. But yeah, the dude who plays Coriolanus Snow is like really hot. And then like, of course, Rachel Zegler is just an incredible performer. I love her so much as Lucy Greybeard. And I watched the movie before I read the books, or before I read the book. And I think that the version of her we see in the movie is a lot more relatable and understandable. But that's partially because, you know, the movie, we get to see things through our own perspective, where like, yeah, things are sort of like from Coriolanus's perspective, but mostly like it's just like, here's a more factual representation. Whereas in the book, you're inside his head and Lucy Gray is an object to him. So of course we don't get like all this like nuance to her character, because he just thinks of her as like a thing that he wants and is easily able to discard her because he doesn't truly love her. He just loves the idea of this untamable thing. Well, what he really likes is the idea of taming the untamable, which is probably relatable to a lot of white men, if we're being real. No, Moshe, accidentally found the YouTube rabbit hole of anti-woke Rachel Zegler hate content. It's depressing. Yeah, of course it's depressing. I hate how many streaming platforms there are now. I don't want to pay more and more and more to watch what I want to watch. I know. I'm like, I pay like $30 a month for fucking HBO, Hulu, Secret third thing. What's the third thing? I can't even remember. I pay for it and I can't even remember what it is. But like those three don't cover everything. Then you gotta get fucking Paramount Plus, and then you gotta go fucking get fucking Netflix. What is the secret third thing? It's Max, Hulu, and something else. Wow. Jesse Plemons is going to be playing young Plutarch Heavensby. Oh, it's Disney Plus. Yeah, Disney Plus. Duh. That's funny. Jesse Plemons. Okay. I see it. Okay. I can see how he works as a young Plutarch Heavensby. The guy who played Plutarch Heavensby passed away, didn't he? Yeah. Philip Seymour Hoffman passed away a few years back. Yeah, it's like I might as well just have a fucking cable package now for how much I'm having to pay for these streaming platforms. It's so stupid. Oh, I didn't know that some phone plans come with Netflix. That's cool. He died between filming parts 1 and 2. Yeah, because he wasn't in part 2. Uh-huh. Yeah, my partner has Crunchyroll. Yeah, I pay for YouTube Premium as well. Like, that's... God, that's worth so much of my time. Oh, you know what? It does make sense. I'm realizing now that you just said that there is casting going on for what I assume is going to be a Sunrise on the Reaping movie. She literally just released Sunrise on the Reaping, and it is going to be a movie now. I mean, like, duh, but also, like, Jesus. They were like, publish the movie, Suzanne. Or publish the book, Suzanne. We want to make a movie. Okay, fucking Christ. Jesus. And it's like she keeps doing prequel stuff because it's like, where do you take the story next? Like, the story ends with a little, it's a little epilogue of like Panem is just like a nice place to live now, and Katniss has her babies with fucking PETA, but like where do you go after that? I'm really more interested. They announced the film adaptation last June. Wow. I'm kind of interested in a story of like what was life like before the Hunger Games. Like, what is it that caused the people to, like, you must assume that it was not as bad as what life is like after the Hunger Games are introduced. Like, that the introduction of the Hunger Games basically reifies the status quo with a little extra something on top. But, like, yeah, there is, or like what happened to America that broke it down into these districts in the first place. There could be another post-Civil War with Capitol survivors. True, yeah. Yeah, it's like a year before the fucking book even came out. They're like, by the way, we're gonna adapt it into a movie. I haven't read Sunrise on the Reaping yet. It only just came out, so I'm not like trying to buy a brand new book. We'll see if... Well, shit. I was gonna say from the library, but it's like about to be summertime, so the kids are gonna want to read that book a bunch. Yeah, another civil war with new Capitol radicals. Like, yeah, Capitol citizens retaliating against the new order of like post Hunger Games whateverness. So that's going to be fun. I do look forward to seeing more Hunger Games movies forever and ever and ever. That's something that I probably won't get tired of. It at least feels somewhat original. It feels less bad than yet another Star Wars. Okay, guys. Well, today's been a hell of a stream. I know I'm cutting it short a little bit. I normally go for 4 hours, and I'm only going for 3 today. I just have a lot of other shit to need to do today. I gotta do laundry, and I need to run the dishwasher, and I would also like to shower, and I have a very small water heater, so I gotta start getting on those things so that I have time to shower before the end of the night tonight. So, thank you all for hanging out with me. I appreciate you. I am planning to see you all on Wednesday. I don't have any particular plans for what we're gonna discuss from now on. I don't know what we're doing from now on. So yeah, prepare to not know what the fuck's gonna happen on Wednesday. But yeah, and then I have Takis on Thursday, so you'll get to see me throw down with the trans questions, etc. That's a great question. Did we ever work out why Star Wars stands are still pro-American imperialism despite dissecting anti-imperialist propaganda to death? It's because they are stupid and they're not media literate. Anyway. All right. Good night, everybody. Have a good